All right, welcome, folks, to the rare, mythic, and bonus sheet section of the Secrets of Strixhaven set review. We're back, day 2 of the set review, but we no longer have Mark, which is good news because that means Mark caught his flight. He was able to catch a flight that worked with his failing body. He's got a comfortable flight and he's on. And we've got Sam Pratt, Sam P of Rough Drafts. Sam, for those who don't know, I'm sure a lot of people watching know who you are, but for those who don't know, why don't you give yourself a quick little intro here?
Yeah, I have been running the podcast Rough Drafts for almost exactly a year at this point. We're just over the 1 year mark. Podcast is a little smaller scale than limited level ups. I try to focus on really specific topics about limited each week. If you haven't heard of the podcast before, but I've been a very long time limited level up set review watcher. I don't know what the first set you did these for was, but I've been watching since it was you and Ethan at the very least.
Long time then, yeah.
So I look forward to these every time. I love my 4-hour, 7-hour set reviews, however long it's going to take in total, and I'm very excited to be a part of this.
See, if you listen and watch the set reviews enough, you will eventually be able to come on. Sam's got the long-time viewer perks, so that's why we invited him on. No, Sam's great. If you haven't caught his stuff, I would highly recommend. Very smart Magic player. And we're going to be talking about some rares as we hop in today. I think we'll just jump in unless there's anything you think we should cover first, Sam?
No, I think that sounds good. I think the order we're gonna do things is just normal set rares and mythics, and then we'll hit the bonus sheet. Does that sound good?
Yep, that sounds exactly like we're gonna do it. We are covering all the bonus sheet, by the way. So there are uncommons on the bonus sheet that, if we had enough time on day 1, we'd probably cover it then, but we decided to do it today. So all of the uncommon bonus sheet cards are, I think, roughly as common as at least the main set uncommon, maybe something in between a main set uncommon and a main set common. Anyways, we'll talk about it when we get there. Let's just jump into our normal set rares first. All right, so we're going to go through. We're starting with white here. We're going to go in Wooburg, going to the gold cards after, and then the bonus sheet. That starts with Erode. So this is a single white mana for an instant at rare. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Its controller may search their library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. So this is just Path to Exile, but it destroys instead of exiles, and it can hit planeswalkers, which is relevant because the planeswalkers in this set are actually pretty good. So we've had Path to Exile before. I think it was on the Thunder Junction bonus sheet. It was pretty solid. I don't know if you remember it playing well or not so well there, Sam, but what's your take on Erode?
Yeah, I remember Path playing pretty well in Outlaws, and I would attribute that in part probably to green being really good in Outlaws, and the things that you wanted to point your removal spells at being like 4 drops and 5 drops, because you really don't want to be casting Path early in the game.
Right.
Like Path's value is its efficiency late in the game when you care less about giving them a basic land. So I expect there is a lot of big stuff in this set. I don't know how much the format is going to be revolving around big stuff specifically. So I gave Erode a C, and it looks like you gave it a C+. So I think we're pretty close. I think Path was probably like C+, B- in Outlaws. So I dinged it a little bit just because I think the set context is a little bit less obviously good for that type of effect.
Yeah, it's definitely a playable spell, and I really like what you brought up about the kind of want to save it till later. You definitely don't want to cast this on turn 3 or 4. Ramping them is very bad, unless you're blowing out a combat trick or something. Then it's totally fine. Yeah. If you're 2 for 1ing them, or I guess 1 for 1 because they get the land, but you know what I mean. And yeah, just a fine removal spell. Next up, we've got Informed Inkrite, which is 1 and a white for a 2/2 Vigilance. This one's a rare. Repartee ability. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery that targets a creature, create a 1/1 black and white Inkling creature token with flying. So that's pretty sweet. Even if you just get 1 trigger off of this, 2 mana for a 2/2 and a 1/1 flyer, scales from there. Seems like a pretty nice one.
Yeah, this card seems really sweet. I usually like this type of effect, Young Pyromancer. There was also Hero of Precinct 1, which is a throwback from, I think, War of the Spark, and then a couple others that look like this. They even gave this one Vigilance, which is actually like pretty relevant because there's a lot of good like pump spell adjacent stuff in this set for repartee specifically.
Yeah.
So we both like this card quite a bit. I think it's going to be a little bit of a groan test on curve, but or maybe I think a decent amount of games you'll probably want to hold this for a double spell on like turn 4 to immediately trigger it. But I think it's a really efficient card that has a lot in it and fits really well with what's going on in this set in general.
Yeah, I mean, Armina can't give it too low of a grade, so what do we give it?
We both gave this a B plus.
Yep, damn solid. Next up, we've got Joined Researchers, which is 1 and a white for a 2/2 first strike at rare. At the beginning of each end step, if an opponent has more cards in their hand than you, this creature becomes prepared. And its prepared spell is Secret Rendezvous, which is from original Strixhaven. 1 white for a sorcery. You and target opponent each draw 3 cards. So kind of a funky card, definitely not just like a slam dunk, bomb rare or anything like that. 2 mana 2/2 first strike is a pretty decent stat line. Like if this was just on a common, no other text, how would you feel about 2 mana 2/2 first strike?
I've thought about this a bit because we had Brightblade Stoat in Bloomburrow, which was 2 mana 2/2 first strike lifelink. And that card was good, but it wasn't anything special. I think I would have Stoat at like C plus B minus.
Yeah.
And I do think lifelink is a pretty big part of that. So we have a 2-grade difference here. I have it at C minus and you have it at C plus. It's going to be somewhere in the C range just because first strike on a 2-drop is pretty solid. And I think we're really focusing on the just vanilla, like French vanilla 2 mana 2/2 first strike. And not really counting the prepared spell because that's quite a risky play to make. Giving your opponent cards is always like pretty awkward.
Yeah, it's not something that you're just gonna fire off. Though the times when you do want to fire it off generally are like, okay, they've got 3 cards in hand to my 0 cards. It is obviously it's a symmetrical effect, but you're kind of coming up ahead in that exchange because like. Yes, they have more options of cards, but they can't cast all their cards in the next turn or 2 or whatever. So, like, you going from I have no options and no cards to 3 options potentially, and just broadening their options a little bit, there are spots in the game where you're going to want to cast the Rendezvous, but they're not that often. In any case.
So
I
guess I do remember there was a Dominaria United card called Love Song of Night and Day, where the first chapter was a saga, and the first chapter... You could read ahead, so you could skip the first chapter, but it was you and target opponent each draw 2 cards. And I like that card quite a bit. And I remember using the first mode a non-zero amount of times.
Well, even recently we had the one from Avatar, right? The Mythic Saga, that the second chapter was we both can draw 3. And like that had some other context going on, like that airbended when you casted a spell. But like that you did that a decent amount of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could see myself being a little low at C minus, but I think I'll stick with my grade.
Something in the C range. I think that's pretty appropriate. Next up, we've got Stirring Hope Singer, which is 2 and a white for a 1/3 lifelink flyer. This is a rare. Repartee, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Man, that is super scary. You mentioned a minute ago about maybe wanting to save that 2-drop that makes 1/1 flyers for a double spell turn. I think this one's probably pretty similar, right? Like, dangling this out on turn 3, okay, maybe you hold your breath if it's your 3-drop, sure, but if you have like a 1-drop or even a 2-mana spell lined up for turn 5, having a nice 1/2 punch with that seems pretty sweet.
Yeah, I was just talking with some friends about this card, and they were talking me up on it because I didn't watch much early access either, so I didn't play much or watch much. They said it looked very impressive. I believe them. I have it at B. You have it at B plus. I still think it's in the B range. Doesn't quite crack A range.
Yeah.
I do think it is a little anemic on its own, and I don't love a understated 3-drop that you need things to line up because you both need a spell that targets and you actually need other creatures on board for this to like really be very, very impressive. But I mean, it seems like it's going to be fairly easy to trigger repartee. So I think this card's still very, very strong.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I played a decent amount of Silver Quill yesterday. I actually like just jammed a bunch of sealed, just to get a feel for all the cards. And it kind of just felt like you almost never run out of targeting things in the Silver Quill decks. Like, sure, it's possible, but every time I wanted to trigger my stuff, I was like, oh yeah, I have something to trigger it. So
Sure.
yeah, I think you're right. A lot of little hoops to jump through, a lot of little pieces that have to line up right. But I think the actual getting a targeting spell isn't too difficult. So yeah, somewhere in the B range.
Yeah.
Next up, we got a really nice one here. I died to this one quite a few times. We've got Practiced Offense, which is 2 and a white for a sorcery at rare. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature target player controls. Target creature gains your choice of either Double Strike or Lifelink until end of turn. And this has flashback for 1 and a white. So yeah, so much going on here. What do you think about this card, Sam?
There's like weirdly a lot of go wide payoffs in this set. That's
It's
something
true.
that I think we'll talk about in the bonus sheet, because there's 2 mass pump effects on the bonus sheet at white at uncommon. This is another one that really wants you to go wide, and I don't really see that much support for actually making a lot of bodies in white. But like giving your whole team double strike is like probably better than overrun. Like 1/1 counter on everything plus double strike, I think, is better than overrun. This costs 3 mana less than overrun.
Though
So
it's just the one thing though, right? Like you just get like one thing gets double strike.
oh, 1 creature. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. But you can do it twice in a turn also.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
So this card looks quite strong to me. Flashback on a card like this also is like you can stagger activate, like casting this card over multiple combat steps, to have like if you already have a favorable attack, you can like save the flashback for a different turn to get another favorable attack.
Yeah.
It seems very, very strong.
Yeah, also just like it does both synergy things for both of the white decks, right? It's a flashback card, so it'll leave the graveyard, and also it targets for your Silver Quill deck. So yeah, sweet stuff there. Yeah, what do we give it?
I gave it a B+. You gave it an A-.
Yeah, also I saw somebody on Twitter said like the art for this card is what happens when you get somebody with a nerdy hobby to draw a sports team. They think that's what a sports team looks like. Next up, we've got this one's awesome. Antiquities on the Loose. This is 1 white for a sorcery at rare. Create 2 2/2 red and white spirit creature tokens. These ones are just on the ground. So 4 mana for 2 2/2. Oh, sorry, 3 mana for 2 2/2s. And then if the spell was cast from anywhere other than your hand, put a +1/+1 counter on each spirit you control. Flashback, that's how you're casting it, somewhere other than your hand, for white. So how do you like 3 mana for 2 2/2s?
I'm a History of Benalia enjoyer, Alex.
Oh, yes, that's a great I didn't even think about History of Benalia. That's a good one.
Yeah, no vigilance, no pump, but a flashback spell that puts 6/6 worth of stats over 2 bodies attached to an already above rate card is the whole package. Like this card seems phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's also a couple ways in red-white to cast cards out of your graveyard, right? We're going to talk about the red-white artifact, and then there's also, I think there was one more. So
there's like the
flashback.
tablet. There's also the tablet,
Yeah,
like the
tablet.
red.
Yep.
Yeah, red mana rock. So basically, you're saying ways to cast this from the graveyard without actually flashing it back, right?
Yeah. Also, the card flashback that we will talk about later.
Yep,
also
that does it.
Do it for cheaper. So a lot to like about this card. We both gave it an A. I think it will be one of the better rares in the set.
Absolutely.
Double pip on curve is a bit awkward, but if you even cast this on turn 5, you're probably doing pretty well, curving it into 6.
Next up, we've got a funky one, Emeritus of Truce, which is part of a cycle here of these like iconic spells on prepared creatures. So this is 1 white for a 3/3. This is a mythic. When it enters, target player creates a 1/1 flying token. Then if an opponent controls more creatures than you, this creature becomes prepared. Its prepared spell is Swords to Plowshares, so single white mana for an instant. Exile target creature, its controller gains life equal to its power. So I played with this card yesterday, and I had it a lot. Like I drew it a lot. I never prepared it. Like it was always just
Yeah.
3 mana, make a 1/1 flyer on my side. Because the thing is, the 1/1 is mandatory. So unless you like really need the Swords to Plowshares, you're gonna give it to yourself. And putting something on the board that makes a token makes it very unlikely on curve that you're gonna have less stuff than the opponent. So just take that, it's small sample size and all. But I think I would mostly view this as like 3 mana 3/3 make a 1/1 token.
Yeah, you have to be 3 creatures behind for this to give you the token and prepare. Which you have to be pretty far behind for that to happen. It is pretty good for that to happen. But you also will likely have to like pass the turn before you can Swords to Plowshares because you'll need triple white for that. And you really don't want to. I will say there probably are a decent amount of spots where you will give your opponent the flyer.
Yeah.
Like just if they have something you have to kill later in the game, like I think is definitely a big part, like a part of this card is when you're kind of at parity, but they have like a giant trampler or something that you need to kill. The unwanted remake type cards are a lot more palatable, stapled to a reasonable body. But,
yes, definitely.
Yeah, we're actually 3 grades different here. You have it at B+, I have it at C+. When I first saw this card, I was like, wow, this is like kind of unprecedented rate for white. Was in like a 3-drop that gives you a 3/3 plus a 1/1. And I was thinking about that for a while, and then I remembered, oh yeah, we have Blade Splicer and Toby that are
true
higher rates than that.
Yeah.
But I do think that just like I dinged it a little bit because it's a double pipped 3-drop, which I do think impacts just how good it is on curve. But I should probably move it up to like a B-, closer to your B+.
Yeah, I think that I gave it a pretty good baseline grade just because that baseline of 3 mana making 3/3 and a 1/1 I think is pretty good. Like I would rate that card the B- or something. So sometimes you sort of Plowshare them, and that's where the difference is made up for me. But yeah, pretty good card. Weird one, but pretty good card.
I think we'll be probably overrated by people. Well, guess I probably won't draft this very often.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Restoration Seminar. So another Mythic cycle here. This is the white one, obviously. We're in white. This is 5 white for a sorcery. It's a lesson. Doesn't matter for anything, but it is a lesson. Return target non-land permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And it has Paradigm, which means you exile this spell after... exile the spell after you cast it. After the first resolve of this spell of this name, you may cast a copy of it from exile without paying its mana cost at the beginning of each of your first main phases. So essentially, you cast this for its mana cost once, and at the beginning of your first main phase, you get to cast it for free for the rest of the game. Okay, so pretty over-the-top effect, but, and this is kind of the question I think you're going to ask yourself for all of these, is it too slow? Because the first time you cast this, it's 7 mana just to get back one thing. How many more turns are you actually going to be playing of a game past the point where you cast this card?
Yeah, the Paradigm spells I found kind of difficult to... Some of them were easy to evaluate, but I did think this one was pretty difficult to evaluate. I do think that there's a lot of ramp in this format, not just in green, but there are mana dorks in blue, in red, and in green. So there's a Manolith that I think is pretty good.
Yep.
So there's a lot of ways to cast this a little bit ahead of curve. And I do think that if you're like relatively stable by the time this comes down, I think you will have a pretty good chance at like just outvaluing your opponent pretty easily. So I wanted to not like this one because it is a 7-drop, but the card that brought me back to it was Virtue Persistence from Wilds of Eldraine, which did have a 3 mana like kill something or 2 mana kill something mode attached to it. But that card was very, very good, and I think that that card you had to wait a full turn cycle to get the first reanimate on the 7-drop side. This one gets the thing up front. So I think the combination of being able to ramp this out a little bit ahead of schedule and getting the value right when you cast it, I think bumps it up uh, more than I initially expected. So I had this at B, you have this at C. My gut says it's probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, it's a hard one to grade. I wanted to grade this one pretty high too, and then it's just like, because everything you said, that's what went through my head too. Just like, okay, it's pretty easy to get to 7 mana in this set. I mean, easy. It's not trivial, but much easier than some other sets. So you kind of, maybe if you want to frame it this way, maybe think of it a little bit more as a 6 mana spell, compared to how you would think of a 7 mana spell in most sets. There's also the issue of just like having stuff in your grave. I mean, that's also not going to be that difficult, but like sometimes you're like, okay, I spent a card to ramp, and maybe I cast a removal spell, and then I'm at 7 mana, but I can't actually cast this for the first time, right? Or like,
Yeah.
you're not getting anything back in it. That's awesome. So there's a range. There's a big range here. I gave it the Coward C. You were brave here. We'll see where it lands.
Yeah.
Okay, brings on to blue now. I love this next card. It's one of my favorite cards in the set. Harmonized Trio. This is single blue mana for a 1/1. It's a rare. Tap it and tap 2 untapped creatures you control. This creature becomes prepared, and the prepared spell is Brainstorm. So single blue mana for an instant. Draw 3 cards. Put 2 cards from your hand on the top of your library in any order. So yeah, this thing is a must-kill 1-drop. I mean, there is some spots in your blue-red deck where you're like, ooh, I actually don't have that many creatures in my opening hand because you're all like full of spells. But, as long as you've got close to a normal creature count, like 13, 14, I think this card's going to be still pretty good. And yeah, I haven't cast it yet, but I'm pretty excited. What about you? What do you think about this one, Sam?
Yeah, I like making card comparisons. I feel like I've been making a lot of card comparisons.
Please,
The
I
elite
love
ball
card
knowledge,
comparisons.
as you will. But this reminds me of Larder Zombie
Yes.
from Midnight Hunt. So if you're worried about the tapping your untapped creatures, it's a really big deal that you can do that at instant speed here. And also a pretty big deal, I think, that the effect is not tied to actually tapping the creatures. So basically what I'm trying to get at is once you have 3 creatures, you can set up defensively, like not attack, and then your opponent takes their turn, they take their combat step, you can make your block, set up trades, and then tap this you could tap this after they attack. Just if it was a sorcery, if you were losing 2 combat steps with this card, it would be a lot worse.
Huge cost.
But the fact that it's instant speed is really good, and I actually like that that it's not just like tap 3 untapped creatures you control Brainstorm immediately. I like that you can like untap, draw an additional card with your Brainstorm, and then cast the Brainstorm and dig 3 cards deep. Because I think that like you often don't want to cast Brainstorm like on your opponent's end step, just when you're casting Brainstorm, because you're just going to draw one of those cards back. And the power of that card is that it digs so deep, especially repeatedly. Like if you've ever cast a Jace the Mind Sculptor. So I like this card too. I think I would agree it is a kill on sight 1-drop. So we both have it in the B range because I think it is a little bit fragile. Like your opponent's just going to cast their bootleg Firebolt. I can't remember what the card is.
Yeah, Tone Blast, I think it's called, right?
Tone Blast. Yeah. But I do think it's pretty strong and should be really fun to cast also.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, Brainstorm, kind of historically, you want to pair it with shuffle effects. The idea is like, okay, I draw 3, I put back 2 cards I maybe don't want that much, and then I shuffle my library so I can clear the top. And there's actually a lot of shuffle effects in this format. So like there is, or just ways to clear the deck, right? There's a little bit of mill, there's Terramorphic Expanse to shuffle away, there's like Environmental Scientist to, search your library for a basic, there's the green 1-drop that also does it, the Prepared Bear. So yeah, you're actually going to get like a true full Brainstorm a lot of the time, which is kind of sweet.
Yeah, that's nice.
Next up, we've got Exhibition Tidecaller. Single blue mana for an 0/2 at rare. Opus. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, target player mills 3 cards. If 5 or more mana was spent to cast this spell, that player mills 10 cards instead. So it's an interesting one here. I faced this yesterday. It was very scary. I did feel like I needed to kill it right away. They ended up milling me for 20, I believe, or maybe 23. And I like just narrowly snuck out a win. But it's interesting. It's like, if this sticks, it's a 1-drop that if it sticks, you probably win. But it also like does absolutely nothing if you're not opusing. So hard to say where it lands. What do you think?
Kind of like if this was an enchantment, it would be so much stronger.
Oh yeah, it would be
Which
brutal.
is interesting when that happens. I think it's very reasonable also with this type of card, depending on the matchup. Like if you're playing another slower deck, to just wait until turn 6 to double spell with the 5-drop spell to mill them 10.
Mm-hmm.
Because like a lot of times when it's mill 10, a lot of times just one activation, if you know the game is going to go long, can really like change the texture of the game and force your opponent to get more aggressive. So I think that you will want to build around this, because anytime you have a mill card, having the alternate angle of attack means that like if you're putting this card in your deck, it is because some amount of games you really don't want to be attacking your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of changes the way that you play once this is in your deck. So it is kind of a build around, I think. But I do think it is pretty strong if you build around it.
Yeah, I think like the way you want to think about it is if you don't want to mix and match with your kind of slow cards and fast cards, right? Like if you're putting the 2-mana 2/2 in red that grows whenever you cast a spell, or like the 3-mana 2/2 that comes and locks down something for the turn, like those kind of cards, those are very much attacking cards. If you draw those cards with this card, you're going to be very sad about it. Even though, like, yeah, sure, you have the potential to mize out a win in those kind of decks too. But yeah, this is the kind of card I want to play if my deck's like all card draw, ramp, keeping me alive. And this is just like an easy win. So grading this is a little bit tricky, but what do we give it?
Yeah, we both gave it a C plus.
Yeah.
Just another comparison was there was I always get the traps mixed up. Was it Mind Break Trap
Mind
and
Break.
Outlaws?
Oh, no. It's the Archive Trap.
Is it Archive Trap?
Archive Trap,
Okay.
yeah.
Whichever one mills 13. Like that was a card that could be a plan even if it was just a one-shot mill 13. Like you did want to have Slickshot Lockbaker to flash that one back. But like I will just stress that like just that 5-mana burst of like mill 10, it can be enough to win a lot of games. So that's kind of the plan that I have when I'm building around this card.
Yeah, totally.
Because I'm often not going to run it out on turn 1. So yeah, both gave it a C plus.
Sky Coach Conductor is up next. This is 2 and a blue for a 2/3 Flying Flash Vigilance. This is a rare. It's also a bird pilot, which is going to come up in a second. So 3 mana, 2/3 Flash Flying Vigilance. It enters prepared, and its prepared spell is all aboard. Single blue mana for an instant. Exile target non-pilot creature you control, then return that creature to the battlefield under its owner's control. So it's a blue Restoration Angel, basically, that you can. It's a little bit cheaper to cast the creature side. It's a little bit smaller, but you get to do it in installments.
Yeah, this card is nice. It kind of changes the texture of Restoration Angel a lot when you can bank the flicker effect.
Good point.
Because like Restoration Angel, you have to hold up 4 mana. And the dream with Resto is a lot of times you want to like blank a removal spell, but you don't really want to hold up 4 mana. So you could still hold up 4 mana to blank a removal spell here. But it does change the texture a little bit because this card becomes like a lightning rod. Like whatever else you had on board that your opponent might want to kill, they have to kill this instead because you could just flicker that card. So I think this card's pretty nice. We both have it in the B range. I gave it a B minus. You gave it a B. It looks pretty cool, pretty fun to play with, and I think decently strong.
Yeah, even if they do go, okay, I have to kill this before I kill their other thing because they can just blink it. You're often going to be able to be like, okay, sure, I'll blink something on the way out. You know, get a little bit of value, blink my environmental scientist or whatever it is, draw an extra land. So yeah, seems like a really strong card. Next up, we've got...
is a little...
Oh yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it is a little awkward that blue is between Prismari and Quandrix, and Quandrix is kind of like putting counters on stuff, and Prismari is making big spells, often like big tokens.
Yeah.
And this doesn't really work well with those, but I think you'll be pretty happy even flickering a small thing for value a decent amount of the time, too.
Yeah, totally agree. Jadzi, Steward of Fate, is up next. This is 2 and a blue for a 2/4 legendary creature rare. She enters prepared. When she enters, you draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. And her prepared spell is Oracle's Gift, which is XX blue for a sorcery. Create X00 fractal tokens, and then put X +1/+1 counters on each fractal you control. This card does a lot. There is actually like not even that much text on the card, but it feels like a very wordy, lots going on here card.
Yeah, it's like a rare version of the, I don't know any of the card names. The 4 mana 3/4 Ward 2 that has the prepared spell 5 mana make a 3/3.
Yes.
It's kind of like that, but like
totally.
souped up.
Yeah, like I misread this card at first. I thought it was just like make an X, fractal. I was like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. And then my opponent did it to me, and I was like, oh wait, where did all those things come from? It's like, oh, it's X 0/0s. Okay.
Yeah, so it's the prepared spell is 2 mana make a 1/1.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, sorry, it's 3 mana make a 1/1, right?
Yep.
And then 5 mana make 2/2/2s, and then it would be 7 mana make 3/3/3s. So I think you really want to be casting this. I mean, if you have other fractals, you can cast this for X=1 and be decently happy if you need to, but it does, this is like a spell that you want to like save up for, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're happy casting it on 3 if you have nothing else to do. Like filtering you is great. Like I don't want to talk down the normal end of the battlefield effect here too, because like that's not bad at all, right? Just like filter you 2 cards, that's great. And yeah, sometimes you're even gonna just filter and get rid of spells so you can hit your land, so you can like do it for 7 or whatever.
Yeah, 2/4, 3 mana 2/4 also is a stat line that's like a little bit hard to kill.
Yeah.
So we both like this card a lot. We both give it a B+.
Yep. I could even see it being a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
Mana Sculpt up next. This is fixed mana drain. 1 blue for an instant at rare. Counter target spell. If you control a wizard, add an amount of colorless equal to the amount of mana spent to cast that spell at the beginning of your next main phase. So wizard count. There's a lot of wizards actually. Like there's a good healthy handful. I don't know the exact number, but it's something in like the 30 or 40 range. So you're going to get the bonus effect here and there. But I also just think, like, cancel is pretty good in a format like this, right? Like a big over-the-top, people are casting 7 drops kind of format.
That's what I was thinking, too. Like, I've been fairly impressed with cancel in certain formats. And I do think that this format is kind of like a not too upset to hold up cancel on turn 6 or something, you know? So yeah, we both like this a decent amount. I think it's probably like C- ish if you don't have a good wizard count, and like B range if you do. So I think we both averaged it and gave it a C+.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that this spell plays well in a format with big spells, both because you'll counter big spells, and counter spells are good against 7 drops, and it gives you the mana to like go off with your big spells the turn after. So yeah, definitely excited to see some screenshots from this one. Next, we've got Pensive Professor, which is 1 blue for an O2. It's a rare. It's a wizard. It's got increment. So first instance of increment, so I'll read it out. Whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana you spent to cast it is greater than this creature's power or toughness, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. And whenever one or more counters are put on this creature, you draw a card. So starting out as an O2 means any spell you cast after this guarantees you draw a card. Seems pretty good, just like capable of drawing a lot of cards, but how tepid are we about 3 mana O2?
I'm a lot lower on this card than you are. So
yeah,
I am very scared of the blue in the casting cost, because I really would like to double spell with this card. Maybe on turn 5 or turn 6 to immediately draw a card. And if you can land the double spell, I'm pretty happy, but that also gets a little bit awkward because it's like a 3 mana card with like not that much battlefield impact, and I'm not crazy about like just needing my cards to line up like that. You know what I mean? So I have this at C-, you have this at B. I could definitely see being too low, but I do feel like it's a little bit finicky and doesn't really have a lot of upfront impact. There's definitely going to be games where it's incredible and draws you like 3 or 4 cards because it starts so small and grows like basically with any spell you cast. But I'm starting pretty low on this card, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, both those things, like double pipped 3-drop and small body, like I often warn against that, and those, people tend to overrate cards that have those qualities, not realizing just how bad those kind of things are. So yeah, I can see myself coming down on it, and like a lot of the ones we've had big differences in, I imagine it might end up somewhere in the middle here.
Yeah, I think so.
Next up, we've got Wisdom of Ages. This is kind of interesting. 4 blue, blue, blue for a sorcery at rare. Return all instant and sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. Exile Wisdom of Ages. So, extremely over the top splashy spell. I kind of think this one's, there's something to this one. So I played a decent amount of the it's not called Divergent Equation, but something equation. It's the XX blue instant that returns X spells from your graveyard to your hand. That's an uncommon. And I was pretty happy. Like, I found spots in my games to cast that for 7 mana, so like X equals 3. And getting back 3 spells like felt pretty good. This is just that. It is a sorcery, so that's worse. And there's no buyout of just, paying 3 to get back 1 thing or 2 to get back 5. I saw LSV had this card in his early access, and he just like, it's a very LSV-ish card, but every time he cast it, it just looked absurd. So, with all of the caveats, if this is a 7 mana spell that doesn't affect the board, I wouldn't write it off 100%. But what do you think?
Yeah, I did write it off in my grade and gave it a D- to your D+.
Yeah, not that we're very far apart, but
I could be talked up on this one for sure a little bit. The reason I put it so low was I feel like there's like 6 to 8 cards in this format that just like look like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's Diversion Equation, there's a common draw 3 in Quandrix. There's some bonus sheet stuff. There's Mathemagics, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And I feel like this one is like kind of the least flexible of all of those options because you need instants and sorceries specifically. It costs 7 mana, 3 blue pips. It's a sorcery instead of an instant. So that's why I started it very low. The grading kind of doesn't matter a whole ton on this card because it's just like it's an insanely large, stupid draw spell. Like you're going to know when you need it. So we could maybe beat in the middle and say D, but I think we're both pretty low on this except in specific scenarios.
Yeah, I think basically the way you want to think about this is I will consider this card when I need a top end card and I have a lot of spells, and I won't consider it all if neither of those things are true, or if only one of those things are true. Like there's probably better top end, and like you said, it requires a little bit of setup. All right, next up, Mathemagics, just like you said. So this is XX blue blue for a sorcery at Mythic. Target player draws 2 to the power of X cards. So at X equals 0, you draw a card. At X equals 1, you draw 2, then 4, and then 8, and then 16, and yada, yada, yada. So it's a giant card draw spell, which, like you mentioned, there's a lot of those going on in the set, but this one has the nice little bonus if it can actually kill your opponent, right? Because you can just go target player draws that many, you draw a million.
Yeah, I think you probably want to shoot for X's 4 to kill the opponent. Like that's a draw 16. That's real upside in certain matchups. I think it's definitely weaker than that rare mill card. I'm again a lot lower on this than you are. I have it at a D. You have it all the way at a C+. I guess we could just walk through what the actual rates are. It's blue cantrip, or it would be 4 mana draw 2, 6 mana draw 3. Is that right?
Draw
8. 6 mana
right?
draw 3.
6 mana draw 8, I think, right? Oh, sorry. So I see what you're saying. No. 6 mana draw 4. And it just, it's all powers of 2. So it's 1, 2, 4, 8, 16.
Yeah. Because I guess 6 mana draw 4 is not too far off.
Pretty good.
Maybe I'm too low in this card. Yeah, that is actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's how I kind of looked at it. I was like, okay, 6 mana draw 4 with a buyout of, okay, maybe you cycle it for 2 mana, whatever. 6 mana draw 4 is like going rates, and then it scales from there. And I would be a lot less happy about this card in another set, but the 2 reasons I'm happy about it in this set: 1, there's a ton of mana production, and 2, I think a lot of the games are going to be about just going over the top somehow. And maybe there are different ways to do that, but like this is one of them. So I like my grade. I like my C plus.
It is one of the win cons of all time.
Yes, one of the win cons of
Yeah,
all time.
I think like X is 0, cycle it for 1 mana, and then like divergent equation it back, and then try to get to X is 10 and kill the opponent.
Yeah,
Sounds pretty real
you
to
could
me.
do that.
So
Exactly.
I think I'm definitely too low at D.
Okay.
I'd probably move it up to C plus, C minus, C minus. Don't think I can get to C plus.
We've got one that I think we will not disagree on the grade. We've got Emeritus of Ideation, which is 3 blue for a 5/5 flying ward 2. This is a mythic. It enters prepared. Its prepared spell is Ancestral Recall, so single blue mana, instant, draw 3 cards. And if that wasn't enough, you can re-prepare it by exiling 8 cards from your graveyard when this card attacks. Card's absurd. I played it yesterday. I had a giant grin on my face every time I drew it. It's awesome to play. I gave this an A. I could see it being an A plus. I think you were kind of around the same grade.
Yeah, you actually gave it an A plus, and I gave it an A.
Oh, did I? Sorry. Yeah. Maybe
it probably will be at least close to an A plus. It seems absolutely absurd.
Yeah, not too much to talk about this one. We can just go to the next one. Echo Casting Symposium is 4 blue for a sorcery at Mythic. This is the blue paradigm spell. Target player creates a token that's a copy of target creature you control. And yeah, paradigm. So you get to copy this on each of your main phases. Yeah, so the last one we looked at was a 7 mana reanimate something each turn. This is make a token of something each turn. I think that's better. Would you say that's better?
I said it was worse.
Okay.
This was the hardest. This was the hardest one for me to evaluate of the paradigm spells. I think I'm too low on this. So I gave it a D plus. You gave it a B minus. 6 mana clone is not good.
Not good,
obviously. Yeah. But it reminds me of, what was that card? It's called Progenitor Mimic.
Oh yeah, 6 mana
sweet one
from
Dragon's Maze.
Yeah.
Dragon's Maze banger. But you can't kill it, which I think probably makes it a lot better. I'm definitely too low at D plus after we've talked about this a little bit more. I would like to move it up to a C plus.
I will allow that, Sam. I will allow you to have a C plus on this one. And also, just one thing we didn't mention about the last one, but of course applies to all these, is that it is 5 mana Opus every single turn for free, right? Like that's just a little bit of a nod towards like, okay, it gives you a little more value than you might expect. So yeah,
it's Opus. Opus is mana spent.
Oh, sorry, it's not. You're totally right. Yeah, it's mana spent to cast it, so it's only the first time. My bad. Yeah. This is why we do set reviews in pairs, so that one person can catch the other person's complete misreadings.
I think every Opus trigger does have a instant and sorcery do the smaller things. So you will technically trigger Opus. You just won't get the
small Opus.
5 mana mode.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, no, I definitely can see this being like me being a little too high on it, honestly, like and just settling somewhere in the C plus range. I found this whole cycle was like pretty difficult to rate. It's gonna be interesting to see it in play. But yeah, let's go on. Next up, on to black cards. You've got Postmortem Professor, which is 1 in a black for a 2/2. It's a rare. It can't block. Whenever this creature attacks, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. And it's got 1 in a black, exile instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, how much do you like the line of text this creature can't block, Sam? I know limited players love that line of text.
I'm a blocking enjoyer.
Yeah.
I am a fan of draining.
Mm-hmm.
Limited players do like drain effects. And this card seems pretty annoying. It will do a lot to enable the Witherbloom archetype for free. I think we both graded this with Witherbloom in mind because we both gave it a C plus. And you don't often see can't block cards be that good. But I do think considering that Witherbloom looks to be a little more aggressive and this is just a very free source of persistent damage and life gain, I think it looks decent for that deck.
Yeah, no, and you're totally right. I thought about this as, okay, your Witherbloom rather than your Silverquill. I think definitely playable in Silverquill still. But like, a big thing about this card is it's a persistent and hard to deal with way that you can trigger all your life gain stuff.
Yeah. Do you think it's better or worse than Teacher's Pest?
That's the black green menace one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, black green menace 1/1, pay 2 to bring it back from the graveyard. Um, Probably, huh? Yeah, it's really close actually. I would say probably better. No, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. So basically, you
I'm
get to
actually not sure now that I put the two next to each other.
yeah, this deals more damage on attacks, of course, but the other one can block. Like, that's like pretty relevant. I don't know.
And
Yeah,
the other one
that's
has
true.
menace anyway, so it's pinging the opponent most combat steps.
Yeah, darn close in any case.
Yeah.
Yep. Next up we've got Scheming Silver Tongue, which is 1 in a black for a 1/3 flying lifelink. It's a rare. At the beginning of your second main phase, if you gained 2 or more life this turn, this creature becomes prepared, and its prepared spell is an old goodie here, Sign in Blood. 2 black mana for a sorcery. Target player draws 2 life. Draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. So this one spots you 1 life, which is nice. You'll need some other way to gain a life to trigger the Sign in Blood, but like, if you trigger that one time, you feel great, right? Just like you've played a basically 4 mana for a 1/3 lifelink flyer that draws you 2 cards. That's a phenomenal deal.
I love the design on this card.
Me too.
It looks like it feels so fun to play. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think this is good. I don't love casting Sign in Blood early in the game. I mean, it's a good way to fill 2 mana if you have 2 black pips available. I think like later on in the game, you will probably have some way to pump this to get the 2 or more life on attacks. But I guess a 2 mana 1/3 flying lifelink is pretty good rate, honestly. So I have it at B-. You have it at A-. I think I'm too low. I probably want to bump it up to a B. Yeah, I think we both like this card a decent amount.
Yeah, I started around where you were, but I just kept like I moved this up a few times actually, just after thinking about it and after seeing it in play. And yeah, like you kind of just feel bad about the 2 mana 1/3 flying lifelink when you see that on the opposite side of the battlefield. It's like, hey, that alone is kind of a problem. Like, I give a lot of points to any 1 or 2 mana card that is kind of a grown test or a must kill, right? And I think this passes that bar. So yeah, I like my high-ish grade on this one.
Yeah, I'll come up to a B.
Sweet. We've got Mosio, Vane's New Dean. This is 3 mana, 2 in a black for a 2/1 flyer. It's a legendary creature at rare. When it enters, you make a 1/1 pest token. So these are the tokens that when they attack, you gain a life. And Infusion, at the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, return up to 1 target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of life you gained this turn. Okay, so pretty good rate on its own, right? 2/1 flyer for 3 comes with a pest. We like that. And the Infusion ability will be relevant sometimes, will be not relevant sometimes, but like gaining 2 and reanimating a 2-drop, even like on the turn this comes down, I think is not going to be that uncommon. Like let's just say you have the frog, the limerite, the black green 2/2 that gains a life when something enters or dies. Like this card with that card already gets you to 2 right away. So I don't know. It's a really, really nice upside on a card that's just good to cast on its own.
Yeah, I also like that you can play it second main post combat and reanimate something. Like you can just slam, attack all, and then reanimate the card that died, and that's a pretty good play pattern to do like on curve, which makes me, or like maybe not on turn 3, but like you could fit this in on your curve at like turn 5. You do like an attack with a pest and maybe the 4/2 trample and gain 3 and rebuy the 4/2. So yeah, I think we both like this card a decent amount. I give it a B-. You gave it a B+.
I had an opponent have this like sicko combo with this. They had this in black white with there's the 4 mana uncommon white 3/4 that can gain lifelink whenever you repartee. And so just like They just kept sending that in, and it's like, oh, it's a 4/4 life. They just kept reanimating. I couldn't block it because they just bring it back for free. So, yeah, it was pretty nice. Next up, we've got Grave Researcher, which is 2 and a black for a 3/3 at rare. At the beginning of your upkeep, surveil 1, and then if there are 3 or more creature cards in your graveyard, this creature becomes prepared. And its prepared spell is Reanimate. Single black mana for a sorcery. Put target creature from a graveyard onto the battlefield, and you lose life equal to that creature's mana value.
Yeah, so a little bit slow to get going. It has to survive an entire turn cycle to actually get the prepared spell. You need 3 creature cards in your graveyard, so that's also something that makes it a little slow there. But it is a 3 mana 3/3 on curve, which is not a bad rate at all. And you do get like a persistent surveil 1 on your upkeep. We've seen a lot of cards recently where the persistent surveil has been like more relevant than it initially seemed.
Yeah.
So I think just the base rate on this card is pretty good, and I like casting Reanimate. So,
Yeah.
And this can target your opponent's stuff too. The Reanimate can. So, I think it will be a little bit tricky to get 3 creature cards in your graveyard, but it should not be tricky to have something good to reanimate. So we both like this card a decent amount. I gave it a B-. You gave it a C+.
Next up, we've got Tragedy Feaster, which is 2 black for a 7/6 trample. This one's a rare. Ward, discard a card. Okay, so absurd upside so far. 4 mana, 7/6 trample with Ward. Infusion. At the beginning of your end step, sack a permanent unless you gain life this turn. Okay, there's the hoop you have to jump through. So, one thing about Witherbloom is I found it is trivially easy to gain life. There is just like so much life gain running around. So this is not going to be that difficult to trigger or to fulfill the requirement. And even if you don't, it's not that bad, right? Like,
yeah.
Let's just say you have to sack a land. Okay, maybe that's punishing for you, maybe it's not. But like, this just kills them so quickly. Like 7 power trample is massive.
Yeah. War, discard a card, also very, very annoying.
Yep.
I think it's like has a little bit of you could just have it die to removal. I guess the war discard a card makes up for that. So yeah, this card seems pretty great. I think I would still play it in most I think I would still take it pretty highly in most of my Silver Quill decks too, just because I think those decks are going to be wanting to be pretty proactive, and it's a 4 mana 7/6 trample. So we both like this card a decent amount. I have it at B-. You have it at a B.
Next up, we've got Pox Plague, which I think we can give a quick F. Black for a sorcery at rare. Each player loses half their life, then discards half the cards in their hand, sacrifices half the permanents they control, round down each time. There's just like not a good way to break the symmetry on this, right?
No, I don't think so, and I don't really want to think too hard about it. It's 5 black pips.
Oh, we got some time. We can talk about 15 minutes for this. Yeah. Let's move on to Withering Curse, which is 1 black for a sorcery at Mythic. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. But if you gain life this turn, destroy all creatures instead. It's a bit of a weird one.
This is a weird one. I'm not a huge fan of the -2/-2 effects.
Same.
I am a fan of 3 mana damnation. I think that this card will not fit. I think it's a little bit of a build around. Like you will need to build your deck that wants a destroy all creatures in it, but it seems like decently easy to trigger it when you want to, especially because the type of deck that wants to play this probably wants to play the Burglar Rat Pest card.
Oh, yeah.
So just attacking that in, triggering this, like turning this on and wiping the board, seems pretty good. Like it seems a little bit at odds with both Silver Quill and Witherbloom, just wanting stuff that plays to the board a lot, but you will have sort of like sideways decks that will be more controlling. Maybe like some sort of weird, super splashy Mardu deck, like Mardu control deck could take advantage of this. So I have it at C-. You have it at a C. At least my grade is sort of reflecting that I think it's a bit of a build around and not a card that you're going to want to take generically highly. But
Yeah,
it is like pretty good at what it does.
and I think the main thing is, yeah, it's just not a clean fit into either of the two black decks. Although I really want to highlight what you said about kind of you'll have some kind of like offbeat or sideways decks that they can fit into, because in a set as deep as this one and kind of textured where there is a lot of stuff going on, you will draft decks fairly often, I'd say 30-20% of the time, that aren't necessarily neatly fitting into what the archetypes ask you to do. In fact, Sam, you had a whole podcast about that this week.
I
so
did.
so yeah, I think a powerful card, but doesn't just slot in nicely everywhere. That's why we gave it kind of the middle of the road grade.
Yeah, I want to point out that this works really well with the Manolith.
Oh yeah.
Because you can, I just put this together. Like the Manolith set has an activated ability where you can tap it to gain 2 life if you've cast an instant or sorcery this turn. So you can put Withering Curse on the stack, tap your Potioner's Trove to gain 2, and then you'll trigger the Damnation. I will definitely do that at some point in this format.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a
I
trick.
I don't know how many other people will, but that's pretty sweet.
I'm glad you brought that up because I actually think that's going to be fairly relevant. Like, not just for this card, but there's a lot of instants and sorceries with Infuse that, if you don't know that little hold priority trick, then you're going to be like, oh crap, I can't do this the way I want it to. So, yeah, good call. Okay, we got our first Planeswalker here, Ral Zarek, Guest Lecturer, which is 1 black for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker. 4 abilities here. +1, Surveil 2. -1, any number of target players each discard a card. -2, return target creature card mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. -7, flip 5 coins. Target opponent skips their next X turns, where X is the number of coins that came up heads. Okay, so 3 mana Planeswalkers are always kind of the, okay, like, those are scary, because if you're on the play and you play this, or just like a 3 mana Planeswalker in general, it's like, okay, how much of a snowballing advantage do I actually gain? How difficult is this to kill? I think this one's not actually that terrifying, right? As far as like, all the 3 mana Planeswalkers that we've seen, like a Johnny from Lorwyn that can be pretty scary on turn 3. This one, you're not doing too much to affect the board immediately, and it's only 3 loyalty. That said, I think it's still got pretty good effects. So yeah, what's your take on this one?
Yeah, I think I would agree with everything you said. It kind of reminds me of Oko from the last set, which I don't actually know how good that one was. It was like good, but it wasn't like game-breakingly powerful. I think this one sort of falls into that realm as well. Like I said, the persistent surveil is I think pretty good. And just like you said, the whole thing with 3 mana Planeswalkers is they can really get out of hand if you're not able to answer it cleanly early. So I think we like this both a decent amount. I give it a B. You gave it a C+.
Yeah, I'm a little bit lower on it. I could see coming up a little bit. I dinged it because double pips on a 3-drop, like we've been saying a few times today. And yeah, just like no immediate board impacting thing unless you already have something in the graveyard.
Yeah.
All right. We've got our black mythic in the iconic spell prepared creature cycle. Emeritus of Woe is 3 and a black for a 5/4. Enters prepared. At the beginning of your end step, if 2 or more creatures died this turn, this creature becomes prepared. And the prepared spell is Demonic Tutor. 1 and a black for a sorcery. Search your library for a card. Put it into your hand, then shuffle.
Yeah, this one's a little bit. It's good. It's a little bit weird. You're definitely going to be it's if 2 or more creatures died total. So I think the most common play pattern is you're going to send in a couple creatures on turn 4. Then you're going to hopefully trade one of those off with one of your opponents, and then cast this, and it's going to immediately become prepared on curve. And it's also a 5/4, which is really good for 4 mana.
I'll spot you one better. It already comes prepared naturally, so you don't even need to do all that stuff, right? It's just like if you want to, if you want to set it up again, sure. But I think do all of them? No, the white one doesn't prepare itself. Neither does the green one does. I think all of them,
red
but
one
the white
does not.
The white one, I think they all come in prepared. Oh no, the red one doesn't either. In any case, this one comes in prepared. So you're
I misread it. I'm too low. Yeah.
So it's like 4 mana 5/4, which is not good. um, or 6 mana 5/4 with demonic tutor. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. That's Rune Scar Demon, I think is what it's
Yeah,
called. Pretty
for a
close.
mana less, basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one's 7, I think. Yeah.
This is probably a format where Demonic Tutor is pretty good. I remember it being decent in original Strixhaven. It was on the bonus sheet,
Mm-hmm.
and this seems like a format where you can get up to some pretty weird stuff, and Demonic Tutor helps you do that. So I did not realize this entered prepared, so I misread it. I initially gave it a B minus. You gave it a B plus. I'd probably move up to a B plus.
Nice
as well.
Yeah. We've got Decorum Dissertation. This is 3 black for a sorcery lesson at Mythic. Target player draws 2 cards and then loses 2 life. And Paradigm. So you get to copy this forever until one of you is dead. And I mean, I guess it's likely to happen if somebody's losing 2 life a turn. This is such a cool design. Like, such an interesting card. I think it's a little more bad than good, but I'm very interested. I'm very pleased by how cool this is. So like, if you're in one of those slow grindy games against like a blue-green deck, you're pretty happy just to be like, all right, draw 2 cards a turn. Especially if you're Wizard Bloom with ways to offset the life. If you're Silver Quill, I think you're pretty often going to do that to yourself too. But you then get to a point where you're like, I mean, I guess Wizard Bloom can do this too. Doesn't not necessarily just Silver Quill, but if you're low at life, your opponent's low on life, you just be like, all right, you're at 6. I target you with this thing a few times and you die.
Yeah, these persistent life loss effects are like, they have a really weird effect on the game where your opponent has to start making their decisions like they're at 4 less life. Like, because like they have to think a couple turns ahead of like, how many life points do I have to spend, like based on the number of turns that there are going to be left in the game. Like, obviously they're drawing, if you're pointing this at your opponent, they're drawing cards and that's really good. But if they're at like 8 life, the game kind of dramatically changes when this is in effect. You know what I'm saying? Like,
totally.
They have to make their block, like they have to be really, really precious with their life total, and you can often like really put them in weird spots like that. I love this card as well. I think it's so cool. We both have it at C plus, which I think is probably where it's going to land. It seems really powerful. Just like Phyrexian, like double Phyrexian Arena in a more aggressive deck is probably actually pretty good when you're kind of like a mid-range proactive deck, not like a true aggro deck. And I do think that like the burn mode on this is really cool as well.
Yeah, 2 things I'll add. One, piggybacking off the burn mode, there's actually like a lot of burn/drain in this set. And when there's a lot of it, like they basically make all the other burn spells play well together, right? Because it's just like the more burn you have, the more likely it's just like you look at your hand and you're like, oh, I can count to 8 and I just killed them here, right? Like,
yeah, we didn't mention this on the Sign in Blood prepared 1/3 flyer, but you can also Sign in Blood your opponent and probably set up turns where you get to like double Sign in Blood them to deal blast 4 points. So, really cool. This is my favorite of the Paradigm spells, like by far.
Yes, me too.
This one's very, very fun.
Just from like an interesting design perspective. And one thing that I don't know if we covered this with the last Paradigm spells, but you don't have to cast a copy of the spells, so you're not putting yourself on a clock of just like, oh, I gotta win before I die to this. You can just choose to stop choose to stop casting it. Okay. Next up, we've got red spells. Flashback is the first one. This is a single red mana for an instant at rare, and I wonder what it does. It says, targeted instant or sorcery in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to the mana cost. Kind of a weird one. So, like, do you play this? I think is just like a pretty valid question to ask. Like, is this something you're interested in?
I think this will scale with how much cheap interaction you have. I'm pretty interested in flashing back cheap spells with this. I think I'm less interested in flashing back expensive spells because a lot of times the expensive spells just draw you more cards and you can find better things to do with it. But I think this will be pretty good in a like Lorehold Prismari. I'm kind of like envisioning a Jeskai control deck that plays cheap interaction. Like I think flashing back the destroy a tapped creature in a really defensive deck sounds pretty good. I
Yep.
don't think this is going to be generically good. I think you're going to be in like a control space where before you like are interested in putting this in as a card in your deck that like does something good for you.
Yep.
Like most of the time you want to just like play cards that do things on their own. So we're both fairly low on this, but it is very cool, and I think it will have some cool spots. I'm at C minus. You're at D plus.
Yeah, and I think like the one of the things to what you kind of were getting at here is like, well, why not just play something else, right? Like, why not just play something else in this slot, right? Rather than this, which may or may not work. And so, if you're playing this card, you have to have like a density of spells. You can't just be like, oh, sometimes this didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Choreograph Sparks is up next. Red for an instant at rare. This spell can't be copied. Okay. Choose one or both. Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for that copy. Copy target creature or spell you control. The copy gains haste, and at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice this token. Funny card. I think it's easy to just be like, oh no, this is not very good. Like, just put it in the D, F tier, and I might have even graded it kind of similar or something in that range. But like, it's fairly flexible, especially in a set where there's some pretty nice impactful spells to copy, and sometimes you just like, oh, sorry, you know what, I'm gonna stop my
I
train
think
of
we
thought
both
here.
misread this.
I thought this was you could copy a creature, not a creature spell.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's a lot less flexible and interesting. Okay, I'm less high on this than I was. I was like, oh, you copy a spell in the stack and get a copy of like a 4/4, like with an ability maybe. It's basically just copying a spell. It's kind of like a worse flashback, the card we just looked at, or it's a little bit different, but I'm not so hot on it.
Yeah, we both gave this a D, and I think we both misread it in the exact same way, and I think we should both give it a D minus at most.
Yeah, let's amend that. Next up, we've got, okay, this one I am confident is good. Molten Core Maestro, 1 and a red for a 2/2 menace. It's a rare. Opus, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. If 5 or more mana was spent to cast that spell, add an amount of red equal to this creature's power. Hoo-wee. Like, both of those are extremely scary. Have we ever seen a creature that's just like 2 mana 2/2 gets a counter whenever you cast a spell?
We had Runaway Steamkin.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Which only triggered off red any spell and also started as a 1/1. And then you had to remove the counters to add the mana.
Right.
Yeah, this card seems kind of nuts. Like 2 mana 2/2 menace, also very strong stat line for your 2-drop. They don't really give us 2/2 menace for 2. Like they'll put it on an uncommon or a rare and it will be like pretty good. So we're both quite high on this. I gave it a B plus, you gave it an A minus.
Yeah, I had my opponent cast, the blue-red 6 mana, draw 3, discard 2, make 5 mana.
Yeah.
So, like, they cast that with this on the battlefield, and they just, like, they have, like, 10 mana in their rolls. Like, all right, it's gonna quit the turn. Yeah, cool card.
Yeah, time to cast your Mathemagics.
Yeah, exactly. Time to bring out the notepad. Next up, we've got Steal the Show, which is 2 and a red for a sorcery at rare. Choose one or both. Target player discards any number of cards, then draws that many cards. Steal the Show deals damage equal to the number of instants and sorcery cards in your graveyard to target creature or planeswalker. Weird one.
This is a weird one. It's a little bit of a build around. You need to have a lot of spells, and I think you want to have cheap spells for this. So definitely more of a control card, because I think most of the time, like if you're being proactive, you want to play your creatures first, and then you won't have instants and sorceries in the graveyard. I like this is kind of like what's it called? The Fire Prophecy. This is like a giant Fire Prophecy. Where you can discard a lot of cards. I'm a decent amount higher than you on this. I have it at C plus. You have it at D plus. My grade is mostly meant to reflect playing it in like these Jeskai control shells that I'm very high on going into the format. Where I think it looks pretty good, and I think it looks pretty good in Prismari. But I think it's not going to be for every deck.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm probably a little bit too low on it. Because just pitch 2 lands or whatever spells that aren't useful, deal 3. Assuming you got some other cards in the graveyard, of course. Like that sounds like a pretty decent card.
Yeah.
I think the Fire Prophecy comparison is pretty good, or Manhole Missile for the Zoomers. But yeah, I also want to point out that that first ability, the target player discards any number of cards and then draws that many cards. The player chooses the number, so you can't just be like, "Aha, opponent, you've been holding cards in hand. I cycle away all your cards." Like they're just gonna be like, "Okay, great. I'm gonna get rid of this land that I don't need. Thank you so much, opponent." So yeah. Next up, we've got Maelstrom Artisan, which is 1 red for a 3/2 haste that enters prepared. This one's rare, by the way. Rocket Volley is 1 red for a sorcery. Destroy target non-basic land. I would like this card a lot more if it was just, like, not double pipped. Like, if this was just, like, 3/2 haste for 3. Okay, that's not exciting, but it's passable. That blows up a non-basic. Like, okay, I'm kind of into it. But I actually think that double red kind of kills it.
Yeah, me too. I'm not even excited about a 3-mana 3/2 haste.
Yeah, it's like that's like a D plus C minus level card, right?
Yeah, I think probably lower. Like there was
sorry,
a 3-mana 3/2 haste in Call Time, which was 5 years ago, and that wasn't even that good in that format.
True.
So I'm very low on this card. I think the destroy target non-basic land mode ability on this also doesn't really matter. Like most of the times that land destruction gets played in constructed formats is like people are ramping Stone Rain out on turn 2.
Right.
Like I think by the time you're actually able to cast the prepared spell on this, it's gonna be like turn 5, and then you get some amount of value by blowing up a land, and maybe you throw them off your splash color. But also, like this needs to survive a combat to actually get the prepared spell. Like unless you're casting it on turn 5, and it's like a 3/2, so it's just gonna like trade in combat. So I'm very low on this. I gave this a D minus. You gave this a C minus.
Yeah, it's gonna be super punishing when you're like you're gonna feel like this card is really nice when the opponent's like playing blue green and then they play like a black white tap land or something because they're trying to be like 5 colors. Yeah, that's where it feels good, but most of the time, whatever. Next up, we've got Magma Blood Archaic. This is very strange mana cost. 2 Brid red, 2 Brid red, 2 Brid red. So you can cast this for 6 colorless mana or 6 generic mana or red, or 4 mana. It's a very flexible card. It's a 2/2 trample reach. Sorry, it's a rare, by the way. Converge, this creature enters with a +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control get +1/+1 until the end of turn for each color spent on that spell. So most times this is a 4 mana 4/4 trample reach. Okay, that's fine. You know, nothing exciting but fine. And then giving this ability where like kind of all of your spells turn into trumpet blasts in a way is kind of the idea.
Yeah, I kind of like this card.
Yeah.
It's like it is kind of like a double pipped 4-drop, but it is like 4/4 trample reach, pretty good stats, especially in red. And then if you can cast this, what it would be like if you have 4 colors of mana, it's probably like a 5 mana 5/5 trample reach, which is also pretty good in red. And I think that triggered ability on instants and sorceries is pretty real. Especially when you have stuff like Ancestral Anger that you can really go off with this and give your creatures trample.
Nice.
So we both like this card a decent amount. It can be a little bit awkward, but I think is fairly strong. We both gave it a B minus.
Yeah, seems nice. Emeritus of Conflict. I had this one yesterday. 1 and a red for a 2/2 first strike. This is a mythic. When you cast your 3rd spell each turn, becomes prepared. Prepared spell is Lightning Bolt, single red mana for an instant. Everybody knows Lightning Bolt, 3 to any target. And yeah, so I guess I'll just talk through this card a little bit. So 2 mana 2/2 first strike, like we talked about, is pretty solid stats, right? Like that's fine. 3rd spell sounds like a lot, and it is. It definitely felt like I was playing a little bit of a mini game, but there are quite a few red spells that help this card in a few ways. So there's like the red goblin at common that has a prepared spell to make a treasure token, right, for 1 mana. So that's a pretty easy one to get, kind of like 2 spells, right? Not only casting the goblin, but also the treasure making spell. Prepared creatures in general play well with this card because they give you 2 cards on 1 card. And when you cast the lightning bolt, that counts towards your prepared spell, as well as the creature side here too. So what I did a lot of the time was 2 different things. One, cast this, cast 2 other spells, okay, becomes prepared. Or cast this, cast 2 other spells, I pass the turn with this prepared. I don't have my red mana. They didn't kill it, luckily. I untap, cast the bolt, cast 2 other spells. I've now become re-prepared, and I can bolt something else. So, all in all, yeah, it's a little bit tricky, but it's not impossible, and it really does kind of snowball.
Yeah, this card's sweet. It also, like, once it's prepared, you can attack into because it's a 2/2 first strike. If all they have, this is just like an example, but if all they have is a 5/5, you get to attack through the 5/5 once you have the lightning bolt prepared, and then you don't even need to cast the lightning bolt, which you could like bank for a future turn to set up re-preparing it. So it's a really nice card. Triple spelling is pretty difficult, but seems sweet.
Yeah.
I gave it a C+. You gave it a B-.
Yep. That's I feel pretty good about the B- after playing with it yesterday.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Improvisation Capstone, which is 5 red for a sorcery at Mythic, the paradigm spell of the cycle for red. Exile cards from the top of your library until you exile cards that are mana value 4 or greater. You may cast any number of spells from among them without paying their mana costs. So, the thing to note about this is the way it's worded, you can like flip a 3-mana spell, then keep going. The next spell you hit is a 5-mana spell. And you get to cast both of them, right?
That's
pretty
it's like
sweet.
Dream Harvest from Lorwyn.
Yes, it's the same kind of templating.
I give it a D+. You gave it a C+. I think I'm too low. I don't think I quite processed that. This reminds me of Breaching Dragonstorm in Tarkir.
Oh, the
red one.
5-mana flip a card. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So definitely something here. I think not going to be a great fit for every red deck, but knowing that you're going to hit at least mana value 4 on this, definitely bumps it up from where I had it.
Yeah, what did you say I gave it? I don't remember now.
You gave it a C+.
Yeah, I could almost see this being a little bit better too, because like in the Prismari decks, they're just like really good at getting to 7 mana, really good at like having like the double mana rock, or just like cards that are. There's a few cards that are 3 mana that make 2 mana for this kind of spell. Like just powering this out. If you play this on turn 5 or turn 6, and you're at all at parity, I don't know. It feels pretty hard to lose that game.
Yeah, and if you hit a 2, like you could just hit like 2 drops, and that's like good. Yeah, this one seems good. This one seems better than the white one. I think I kind of got those mixed up. I don't know. I was higher on the white one. You're way higher on this one. I think I should move this up to a C+ to join you.
Next up, we have green cards. So Slumbering Trudge is the first one. This is X and a green for a 6/6 at rare. This creature enters with a number of stun counters on it equal to 3 minus X. If it entered with a stun counter on it, tap it. So it's like a 4-mana 6/6 that if you don't play it for 4 mana, it's like a suspend card, sort of, right? You're investing a little bit of mana plus a little bit of time to get your 6/6. I think the best time for this is probably on turn 1. Like if you can just have this in your opening hand and it's like a suspend 3/6/6, that's pretty nice.
This it's so weird because if you cast it for 4 mana, it's an untapped 6/6, but if you cast it on turn 1, it's going to enter with 3 stun counters on it. No, 3 stun counters on it, which means on turn 4, it's going to lose the last stun counter, but it's still going to be tapped. So there's like a weird discrepancy where if you cast it for 1, 2, or 3, you get it for combat, you get the attack on turn 5, but if you cast it for 4, you get the blocker on turn 4. It's just like a weird like
oh, yeah, 1/2 combat step bump if you pay full price for this.
Oh, yeah. This one seems good. This one seems better than the white one. I think I would should move this up to a C+. to join you. Next up, we have green cards. So Slumbering Trudge is the first one. This is X and a green for a 6/6 at rare. This creature enters with a number of stun counters on it equal to 3 minus X. If it entered with a stun counter on it, tap it. So It's also a 4-mana 6/6, which is like it's just a 4-mana 6/6, so it's
Yeah,
probably
it's
pretty good.
it's big. Yeah, like there's a certain point where
Yeah.
stats, even though it's just stats are it's a lot of stats.
And I did go back and check the grades on crashing footfalls, which we had a little bit of data from the Murders of Karlov Manor bonus sheet, and that
Mm.
card was an A minus, I think, somewhere up there. So we know that like the delayed large amount of stats is gonna be pretty good. So I gave this a B. You gave it a B plus.
Yeah, I kind of like your B, honestly. I mean, yeah, it's pretty close. But if Footfalls was an A minus, and that's like 2/4/4s, I think 2/4/4s is a lot better than a 6/6. So
Yeah,
yeah,
some trade off though because you also can just cast this immediately.
that's true. Yeah, that is true. It's not a
footfalls. There's always a delay.
right, not a bad top deck. Next up, we've got Ambitious Augmenter, which is a single green mana for a 1/1 at rare. It has increment. And when its creature dies, if it had one or more counters on it, you make a 0/0 fractal and put this creature's counter on it. Man, this is want to take a stab at the opening hand win rate of this card? Like
Yeah.
it's a beating.
This card seems very, very good. We both have it at B plus. I could see that being a little bit low, just like the red menace guy that grows. Yeah, it just seems amazing on turn one. And very, very good even later in the game when you could just sneak this into a double spell, and then
Yeah.
it's probably still going to grow the turn after. So
Mhm.
I think we're probably too low at B plus for this.
Yeah, I definitely could see that being the case. This might just be like straight A, slam dunk.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Comforting Counsel, which is 1 and a green for an enchantment at rare. Whenever you gain life, you put a growth counter on this enchantment. As long as there's 5 counters on this card, creatures you control get +3/+3. Weird one. So like there are a lot of ways to gain life in this set, and a lot of ways to have different instances in the same turn. 5 is a big number though. 5 is a very big number.
They don't really print cards that just do nothing anymore. You know what I mean?
I know, yeah, you'd think this like would like even if it was like 6 counters and this one spotted you a life or something, right? Like that
or
seems
or like had like 4 mana gain a life.
yeah,
as an
exactly,
ability or
something like that.
Yeah, neither of us like this. I think just because if you have this on 2, or like maybe you double spell with it on 4, you're still not getting the buff until like turn 7, 6, something like that. And then if you rip this in the late game, it is complete blank cardboard. So I have it at D minus, and you gave it the whole F.
Yeah, I could see like in a deck with let's just say I don't know, like 13 of your cards gain life, and some of them repeatedly, right? Like you've got the black green 2/2. Maybe it's like playable, and that's probably more reflective of your grave. So I probably shouldn't have given it an F. I actually think there's decks you're gonna play this. Just you gotta have
There's a dream to
lot.
chase here.
Yeah, definitely. Vastland Scavenger up next. 1 green for a 4/4 Death Touch. This is a rare. Enters prepared. Okay, like 3 mana 4/4 Death Touch. That's already pretty solid. Prepared spell is Bind to Life, 4 and a green for an instant, mill 7 cards, and then put a creature from among them onto the battlefield.
This is wild, right?
Yeah, it's like massive, and
This is
card advantage, like
cards that would kill a Victorian child.
yeah, cards that would kill somebody who retired when Return to Ravnica came out or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's huge. It curves into itself. Like, what's not to like? Double pip, but like I think that matters a little bit less in a green deck. Like I'm often building my green decks as very heavy green, so this card seems very good.
Yep.
I gave it an A minus. You gave it an A.
Yep. Not too much to say about it. Wild Growth Archaic up next. This is the kind of creature version of the red Archaic we saw. So this is 2 brid green, 2 brid green for a 0/0 trample reach. Converge enters with a +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. And whenever you cast a creature spell, that creature enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it, where X is the number of colors spent to cast it. So could just be like let's see, 3 mana 2/2 is most likely what you're getting here. So 3 mana 2/2 that probably puts 2 counters on most of your creatures when you cast them.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like 3 mana 2/2 is not going to have a good battlefield impact on curve, but this is kill on sight when it comes down on
I
curve.
think so too.
And it's you do want to. I mean, do you even want to like work for it? I guess it's like fine in a two color deck, right?
Yeah, I don't think the difference between 2 and 3 is really that big here.
Yeah. So I have this at C plus. You have it at B minus. I feel like we might be a little low on this.
I was just gonna say, like, as I was reading this, I was like, man, I remember I didn't grade this that highly. I think it should be bumped up a little bit. Yeah, you want to give like a B?
Yeah, I think a B is
Yeah.
good. Like that's like the floor is a. I mean, it's a 3 mana 2/2, which is like not great,
Pretty
but like
bad.
that matters. Yeah, pretty bad, but like that matters less on curve when it's immediately going to recoup a lot of value, and matters less when it's late in a double spell when you can immediately get the counters. So, and there's like higher upside if you can put more colors into it later. So, yeah, I think I like B for this.
Yeah, like the punish on this is they kill it with like a 2 mana removal spell before you get to untap with it. But if you untap, like you're already getting like it would be 4/4 worth of stats basically when you count this and the 2 counters that you give the next creature. So like you've kind of made up your 10th bill loss. Next up, we've got Planner Engineering, which is 3 and a green for a sorcery at rare. Sacrifice 2 lands. Search your library for 4 basic lands. Put it on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. This is quite the fancy, whatever they call it. With the 4, we see this card all the time, but it's an uncommon. It just got fancier wording, basically.
Explosive vegetation.
Explosive vegetation. Yeah, that's the comp.
Yeah, not really for us. You could play it if you really want to go hard, but I gave it a D minus. You gave it a D.
Next up, we've got Emeritus of Abundance. So this is the last one of this Mythic cycle. 2 and a green for a 3/4 Vigilance. It enters prepared. Whenever this creature attacks, if you control 8 or more lands, it becomes prepared again. And the spell is Regrowth. It's 1 and a green for a sorcery. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Cool. So like 5 mana, 3/4, buy something back from the graveyard the turn it comes in. You can also play it on turn 3 if you had nothing else to do. But just like a lot of the other cards in this cycle, I think you're going to want to, or just like a lot of the prepared cards in general, I think you're going to want to try to get the value out of it the turn it comes down.
Yeah, 3 mana 3/4 Vigilance is pretty good.
Yeah, it's good. It's not bad.
Like if you just trade your 2-drop off and then maybe turn 4 you Regrowth plus 2-drop, it's a pretty good card. We both have it in the B range. I have it at B. You have it at B plus.
It's a little strange that it's very hard to re-prepare this, right? Because by the time you get to 8 lands, it's still just a 3/4, and Regrowth is a sorcery, so like it actually has to survive the combat. Yeah, it's interesting.
It is a little weird, yeah. Still good.
Yeah, still good. We've got one more monocolored card before we get to our gold cards. Germination Practicum, which is 3 green for a sorcery lesson at Mythic. Take the best of the cycle here. This is the Paradigm spell. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. And you just get to do that every single turn.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's pretty silly. Yeah, this is like an uninteractable Ouroboros.
It's pretty good.
pretty good. Yeah. So grade?
I gave this an A plus. You gave this one an A.
Yeah, you could be right about this one. Okay, gold cards now. We've got Nita Forum Conciliator up next. This is 1 black/white for a 2/3 legendary creature at rare. Whenever you cast a spell you don't own, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. 2 mana, sacrifice another creature. Exile a target instant or sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard. You can cast it this turn and spend mana of any type to cast it. If that spell would be put into the graveyard, you exile it instead, activate only as a sorcery. Man, is this just like a lot of clauses and things. But basically, it's a 3 mana 2/3 that you can pay 2 sack a creature to be able to cast one of the spells off your opponent's grave, and you actually have to pay the mana for those. Weird card, can be pretty powerful in a long game, but it's a little bit finicky and clunky.
Yeah, I think it's definitely finicky. I don't love this card. I don't like sacrificing my... I don't think I'm going to like sacrificing my creatures in Silverquill.
Right.
Like, you will have some disposable creatures, and there will be times when you play this and there's going to be something really good. And you do get like a team pump when you do that, but you're sacrificing a creature, so it sort of reduces your board. But it also depends on your opponent having a good spell in the graveyard. And this is also like Silver Quill probably wants to be pretty proactive, and this isn't like a super proactive play. It's really finicky. Finicky is a great word to describe it. I gave it a C minus. You gave it a C plus.
Yeah, it's like aspirational and all that, but I think honestly, like the big killer is like Silverquill just doesn't want to play a 3-mana 2/3. That might not do anything for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, little bit out on it.
Yep.
Next up, we've got Fix What's Broken, which is 2 black-white for a sorcery at rare. As an initial cost to cast this, pay X life. Return each artifact and creature card with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield. Notably, it's not X or less. It is exactly X. Another kind of finicky card.
I'd be kind of into it if it was X or less, but exactly X is probably going to get like 2 things, and doesn't seem very good.
Yeah.
So I give it a D minus. You gave it an F.
Yep, totally. Let's go to Conciliator's Duelist. I think this card is not a F card. This is an awesome card. White, black, black. You can tell by the mana cost. They costed it really tough. White, black, black for a 4/3 at rare. When it enters, draw a card, and then each player loses 1 life. Repartee, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery that targets a creature, exile up to 1 target creature, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. What a crazy card.
Each player loses 1 life is very generous. Like,
yes.
Usually it's just you, but the fact that you can flicker this and start draining, yeah, I love this card. This card seems awesome. Like, all of your removal spells turn into remove 2 blockers. Like, you get to, I mean, you can kill tokens with the flicker.
God. Like,
your removal spell, like, just removes a blocker or gives you value. If you have an instant, you get to protect this.
Mm-hmm.
You can also, like, it's a slow flicker beginning of the next end step. So you can, if you have like an instant kill spell, you can like wait until your opponent passes the turn, end step, kill something, flicker one of their blockers, and then untap and maybe do another one. And you remove 4 blockers. Yeah, this card seems awesome. Obviously, the mana cost is the big drawback. You have to have exactly white, black, black to play this, which means it's also really hard to double spell on like turn 6 with something that you really want to hold up. But we both gave it a B plus.
Yeah, I honestly could be a little bit better than that. Like, just imagine, you kind of went over this, but I kind of just want to hammer this home. Of your opponent goes to cast a removal spell on this thing because it's extremely scary. You, in response, kill their creature, blink this. You countered their removal spell, killed their creature, and now you've drawn a new card and dinged them for a life. Yeah, cards busto.
Yeah.
Next up is another very busto card. Moment of Reckoning is 3 white, black, black for a sorcery at rare. Choose up to 4. You may choose the same mode more than once. And there's only 2 options. Destroy target non-land permanent or return target non-land permanent from your graveyard to the battlefield. Holy crap. This is only balanced by the fact that Silverquill doesn't want a 7-drop as much as the other decks. But this is a 7-drop you're going to be pretty happy to play still.
Yeah, it's gonna be great in my Jeskai control deck.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we got all the 1/3 mana dorks that filter mana, and yeah, you can cast this card easy.
I'm not joking. Also, we both gave this an A.
yes, very good card. I mean, you got your Troves, right? Your Potioner's Troves, like that's an easy way to make black mana. Silverquill the Disputant is up next. This is 2 white black for a 4/4 flying vigilance, legendary creature at Mythic. Each instant or sorcery spell you cast has casualty 1, which means as you cast that spell, sack a creature with power 1 or greater, and when you do, you copy that spell. So we were just saying a few minutes ago, oh, you don't really want to copy your spells, or sorry, sack your creatures in Silverquill. There's not much fodder. But like sacking your worst thing to copy a removal spell, that is bordering on like, okay, yeah, I don't mind sacking whatever, my 2/2 or whatever it is.
Yeah, for no mana. Also,
yep.
Yeah, this card seems good. It is a 4 mana, no protection But it also is like a 4/4 flying, like it's a Sarah Angel for 4 mana. I'm probably a little low. I have it at C plus. You have it at B. I'll probably join you in the B range.
Yeah, it's got enough kind of tempting me to be like, all right, I'm happy playing a no into the battlefield, no protection, expensive creature. Like when you untap with this, your opponent's got to be terrified.
Yeah, and even if you like, Flying Vigilance is very good on a 4-drop. So,
Yeah, yeah.
Of this size.
Moving on to the Prismari blue-red cards now. Traumatic Critique up next. X blue-red for an instant at rare. It deals, Traumatic Critique deals X damage to any target. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card. So it's like a big fireball that cantrips. And if you really, really needed to, you can just on turn 2 go like blue-red, draw 2, discard a card.
Yeah, I didn't really put together that this is also just fireball.
Yeah, just
and I plan on making a lot of mana in this format.
yeah, it's a really good format for a fireball. There's a lot of ways to make a bunch of mana.
Yeah, so I'm very into this card. It's a little inefficient as a removal spell, but like we play Electrolyze, which is deal 1 damage to 2 things and draw a card. Like that was on the bonus sheet in original Strixhaven, and it was good.
Yep, still good.
This would be deal 1 damage to something for 3 mana, draw 2, discard a card, which is like kind of the same. A lot of time the other ping on Electrolyze is going upstairs. But then it scales really well. Like kill a true drop, draw 2, discard is very, very strong. We both like this card. I give it a B plus, you gave it a B.
Next up, we've got Color Storm Stallion, which is 1 blue-red for a 3/3. It's a rare. Ward 1, haste. Opus, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, this creature gets +1/+1 till end of turn. If 5 or more mana was spent to cast that spell, you make a token copy of this creature. Just for good. Just sticks around.
Yeah, so they multiply over time.
Yeah, they multiply.
Very little pack rat vibes, and it has Ward 1, meaning it just makes it a little bit more awkward for your opponent to kill this. I could definitely see situations where you're holding this till turn 8, or until you have 8 mana just to get the copy immediately. Yeah, this card seems good. Good on curve. Good if you set it up later. I gave it a B plus. You gave it a B.
Yep, seems cool. Next up, we've got Resonating Loot, which is 2 blue-red for an artifact at rare. Has the ability, lands you control have tap, add 2 mana of any one color. Spend this mana only to cast instants or sorceries. Also has the ability, tap to draw a card, activate only if you have 7 or more cards in hand. So this card is very much constructed core. Like this I think of constructed when I see this kind of card, like kind of like a mana doubler. But do you think there's a chance that this makes it into a deck of yours by the end of the format, Sam?
I know that LSV played this in early access. I did not watch the video, but I heard it was pretty good. I think the draw card mode is kind of fake on this. Like, if you already have 7 cards in hand, why do you need more? The reason Library of Alexandria is so good, I think, is because it's a land, it's free, and you can play it so early in the game. But I do like doubling my mana for instants and sorceries in this format.
Yeah.
So there's something here. I think most people should not just ignore this and their win rate will be better.
I agree.
I give it a D. You gave it an F.
Yeah, this is I wanted to talk through this because this is very much the set reviewer's F, reflecting what you just said.
Yes.
Most people will be better off if they don't put this card in their deck. But I do think there's something here. Like, I expect to play this card at least once. Like, when you play this card, you want a lot of card draw. Not to get to 7 cards, but to make sure that you're actually doing something with all of your mana. So, like, things to sink the mana into, so X spells and card draw. I think that's kind of the formula here.
Yeah, if you're trying to deck your opponent with Math and Magic or Fireball, then,
there you go.
Doubling your mana is like pretty good.
That is pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool card. I like I said, I expect to play it at some point. All right, next up we've got Splatter Technique. This is 1 blue, red for a sorcery at rare. Choose one. A lot of modal cards in this set. Choose one, either draw 4 cards, or Splatter Technique deals 4 damage to each creature and planeswalker. Seems great. 4 is a lot. 4 cards. Yeah. We were just talking about a 6 mana draw 4, and we're like, yeah, that's pretty good. 5 mana draw 4. That's so many cards.
This card seems great. It's good when you're behind, good when you're ahead. or like at parity. Cost. I mean, the mana requirement is a little awkward, but costs 5, just like not that much for a draw 4, and like kind of the sweet spot for a wrath. Like, I think this card is great. I gave it an A minus. You gave it a B.
Yeah, I moved a few cards around before we hopped on the call, and I don't think they stuck. And I would have given it that same grade too. I moved it up to the A range. Yeah, just seems really
Nice.
good. One thing to note, I don't think I mentioned this during the commons or uncommon set review, which makes sense because it's more applicable to the rares. Anytime you've got a card with this kind of mana cost, like blue, blue, red, red, blue, blue, red, like just double pips anywhere, you really, really want to pick up one of the dual lands or two of the dual lands if you can. Like that makes these kind of cards so much more likely to be cast on curve or just like when you need them. So yeah, like this is just like a little thing I keep in mind whenever I have a card like this. I want dual lands in general to make my mana better, but especially when you have cards like this.
Yep.
All right. Next up, we've got Zafi and the Tempest, which is 7 mana. Big ol' 7 mana spell. 5 blue red for a 5/7 legendary creature at rare. Once during each of your turns, you can cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand without paying its mana cost, which is a non-bow with Opus. This does not play well with the big Opus abilities. I mean, I guess you can double spell when you cast it. Like, cast a big spell.
Yeah, I almost gave this an F, and then I thought about it a little more, and you could probably build your deck to where this is like kind of like a free 5/7 in the late game. Like, Prismari is a pretty good 7 mana spell that just like makes 2/3/3s.
Common one,
and
yeah.
yeah, there's like a lot of good expensive spells as the set is designed. So I don't think you should play this most of the time. I give it a D. You gave it a D plus, but you could probably build your deck to where this is like kind of good.
Yeah, like this is, I think the way you framed it is great. Like, just think of it, if you have other expensive spells, it's kind of like a free 5/7, and it's another card that plays really nicely with just a bunch of card draw. Like, if it sticks, then yeah, it like does make a lot of mana the next turn as well. So
Yeah.
next up, we got a really fun card. I do hope to have this card at some point. Prismari, the Inspiration. 5 blue red for a 7/7 flyer with ward, pay 5 life. This is a legendary creature at Mythic. Instants and sorceries you cast have Storm, which just, if you haven't played a Storm before, it just means that whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it for each spell cast before it this turn. And you can choose new targets for the copies. And that includes your opponent's stuff too. By the way, when you do Storm counts, you count both player spells. So yeah, it's like 7 mana, 7/7, flying, ward, pay 5 life. Let's just start there. How do we like that?
7 drop ward pay 5 life is kind of not what I want on my 7 drop in blue red, because I would rather the tax their mana than their life, because I feel like a lot of times when you're getting beaten down, your opponent's gonna have a lot of life to play with.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can just like kill this when they're at 20 life, it doesn't make that much of a difference. So
Yeah.
I'm a little bit low on this card. It is very fun if you really have to untap with it, but you can definitely go off with this. I gave it a C minus. You gave it a C plus.
Yeah, which is just like kind of a reflection of sometimes it's just going to be big dummy that they pay 5 life, who cares, kill it, and sometimes you're going to win the game because of it.
Yep.
We're going...
Before we move on,
Yeah, go ahead.
I think my Wi-Fi is back. I'm going to swap off my
Great.
hotspot, so I might blip out.
Yeah, no worries. I'll stop before we go to the next card.
Am I still? Wait,
Still here. Still with us.
Make sure. Okay. Did we swap correctly?
You're still here, so I think so.
Okay, sweet.
Cool.
Sorry about that.
No, all good. All right, we're moving to the black-green cards now. Dina's Guidance is the first one. 1 black-green for an instant at rare. Search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand or your graveyard, then shuffle. So it's like a 3 mana tutor for a creature. That's pretty pricey. Like, you'd have to be getting something really, really good. Like, basically, whatever the best green and or black card ends up being in the set, I probably have to have those before I consider playing this card.
Yeah, this is not really for us.
Yeah.
I'm looking up. Did we get stats for Ella Domri's call?
Oh, because we had
No.
that. Was it?
Yeah,
What set was Eldamri's calling? It was on the
it
bonus sheet.
was. I'm pulled up Scryfall. It was on the Avatar bonus sheet.
Oh, I played that card. I just remembered. Yeah, I have played
Yeah,
that card in Avatar, and that card I don't think we have enough data for it. If I'm to guess, but
yeah, I don't think so either.
okay.
This is really not for us. I gave it a D minus. You gave it an F.
Next, we've got Bletch Loafing Pest, which is 1 black-green for a 3/4 legendary creature at rare. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on each pest, bat, insect, snake, and spider you control. And that includes Bletch, of course, because it is a pest. So, yeah, this thing can really go off. It, of course, works very nicely with pests, because the pests gain the life, and, you put the counters on right away. I don't think there's too many of the other creature types. You're mostly looking at pests, but like even just whenever you gain a life, put a counter on this card. Like that would
Yeah,
not be a terrible card.
that works well with my guy Shopkeeper's Bane, the 3 mana 4/2 trample as well.
True. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's not like a first time each turn, and all your life gain triggers are going to be separate. Maybe this card's just great, honestly. Like Bogwater Lumaret in the supported creature types here?
It's a frog, I
spirit?
think, right? Oh,
Okay, so not
yeah.
that one.
That'd be nice.
We both gave this a B minus. I could see it being a little higher than that. It's just like it doesn't really have an enters ability, but there's a lot of things that can make it virtually do that. It is a 3 mana 3/4, so I kind of want to bump it up a little bit, but
Yeah,
I
it
think I'm
might
gonna
be.
stick with B minus.
I think so. Yeah, like even though one thing that people in chat are pointing out and people in the Discord have pointed out is that like there isn't actually that many cards that make pests or like any of the tokens. There's like what 3 or 4 for each of the kind of token types. So you're not going to be as like overrun with pests, but I don't think it matters too much because yeah,
Yeah,
it's just like puts counters on itself, kind of like a big Ajani's Pride Mate.
yeah.
So what do you want to regrade it then?
I think B minus is probably fine.
Okay, fair. Also, just notice in the art, there's a squirrel in the art, even though it doesn't count squirrels. But there's a bunch of other things in the art
Oh
that does
yeah.
count. Yeah, really, maybe this was supposed to count squirrels at some point. Next up, we've got Cauldron of Essence, which is 1 black-green for an artifact at rare. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. Also has the ability 1 black-green tap, sack a creature, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate that only as a sorcery. So we've kind of meshed together, like Bastion of Remembrance, Goblin Mischief, those kind of cards, and Recurring Nightmare for folks that know that card.
Yeah, I have this at C. You have it at B minus. Do you want to take the reins on this one?
Yeah, kinda. I think so with Witherbloom's plan in general of aggro you out and care about life gain, I think just like 3 mana, like if it was just the 3 mana static ability of drain the opponent for 1 when the creature dies, I think I'd be fairly happy with that. Not quite good enough, but fairly happy. And then yeah, it's a little bit clunky to do the 3 mana sack thing, bring something back, but I think that's just like such a nice secondary ability to have. Like I'm looking at this mostly as the first ability, with that second ability being a good mana sink. Let me put it that way.
Okay, I think I'm mostly looking at this card as the second ability because the first one to me is like I really want a lot of little things,
Mm-hmm.
and that doesn't really seem to me what Witherbloom is doing. Though I guess there is sort of like I do feel like Witherbloom kind of has two sides where one is like the stompy plan. This doesn't really fit into that, but there is like the plan where you could like load up on the pest makers, and maybe some of the bigger stuff like that.
There's the uncommon Lewin that makes a bunch of pests, right? Like basically exile a card from your grave, pay 1, make a bunch of pests.
Yeah.
That card's pretty good with this one.
Yeah, I've heard people like that card. That card does make you exile creature cards from your graveyard.
Oh, that is true. That is true. Yeah, a little bit awkward.
But you could just be like exiling your graveyard, Lewin dies, and then you just buy it back with the pests.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I like this card. My C grade was kind of the coward C, where I personally don't think that this card goes in every black-green deck. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I think so, because if you're aggressive, you care about the first line. If you're not, you care about the second line, and like you're gonna care about both of them in either deck, but just like the primary one you care about. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe like you need to think a bit more granularly about your deck as you're drafting it and building it. But I don't know. This just reads like a card I wouldn't cut from my black green decks. Let me just
Sure.
put it that way.
Okay. I still think I disagree,
Okay.
but it's fine. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
we
no,
should
no.
move
Like
on.
you're free to disagree. Don't worry.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Yeah.
stick at my C, and you got B minus.
We've got Vicious Rivalry up next. This is 2 black green for a sorcery at rare. As an additional cost to cast a spell, pay X life. Destroy all artifacts and creatures with mana value X or less. So this one is X or less. Sorta kinda Toxic Deluge adjacent, right?
Yeah, it costs 1 more mana, but it also blows up. Oh no, it's different. Yeah, because Toxic Deluge, you have to pay life to give things -X. This is just mana value.
Yeah, which I think is better on average. Especially in a set where there's a bunch of big tokens running around.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, that probably is better. Yeah, because you could just be like a... If you have the 4/2 trample, you could be paying 2 and blowing up all their 2-drops and
Yeah.
2-drops.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like one of the things about any life payments, we've seen quite a few cards today that make you pay life. In my Witherbloom decks, just to give some context, I was at like 30 life in the mid game a lot of the time, right? So like, not to say that the paying X life is nothing, but like it's definitely less of a cost than it would be in some other set.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So I gave this a D. I'll probably move it up to C minus, which is I think where I had the other Wrath, the life gain Wrath, and you have it at C plus.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Like the fact that it is kind of engineerable too, like that. Those are always it's always an avenue to get a bit of an advantage on the kind of symmetry of a board wipe.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got a good one, I think. Professor Delian Fell, which is 2 black green for a planeswalker, mythic, of course. 5 loyalty, 4 abilities. The first one is +2, you gain 3 life. 0, you draw a card and lose a life. -3, destroy target creature. -6, you get an emblem with whenever an opponent gains life, target opponent loses that much life. So 5 loyalty that immediately takes up to 7 on a 4 loyalty planeswalker. This thing is so hard to kill.
Yeah, it's huge. And like you're also kind of artificially padding your life total even further when you plus this, because people are going to want to attack Delian instead of you.
And you can also ultimate it the second turn that he's in the battlefield, right? Like if you have the setup for that ultimate being good, it draws you cards. And like it's so funny too, because it like just gives you all the resources you'd possibly want. It gains you life if you want. It draws you cards if you want. It like affects the board.
It does give you everything. Yeah, we both like this a lot. We both gave it an A.
Yeah, card seems great. I could see this even veering into the A+ range.
Yeah.
Next up is Witherbloom the Balancer, which is 6 black green for a 5/5 legendary at mythic. Affinity for creatures. It costs 1 less for each creature you control. Flying Death Touch. Instants and sorceries you cast have affinity for creatures.
Weird. So I think you're probably going to be casting this on turn 6, is my guess. If you have 3 creatures in play, this becomes 5 mana. So you could cast it on 5, which you probably will want to set that up. But I think the real sauce from this comes from when you can like play this for 3 mana and immediately like play an instant or sorcery that like I think this is really good with the Burglar Rat Pest card. If you getting that to cost 1 mana after you cast this, if you still have cards in hand at that point. It's also 5/5 Flying Death Touch is pretty good.
Yeah, even like, you mentioned a cheap spell, but if you're playing this for 3, you can cast like the 4 mana exile target creature spell for 1 mana.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one to do.
Right?
Yeah.
So like I could see that being the thing where on, let's just say you've got 4 creatures in play in the mid game. You play this for 4, you play that creature, that the removal spell for 1. That's pretty nice.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, overall though,
Yeah,
I mean it's a big creature. It makes your things cheaper. I think it's not the best of the cycle, but it's still really good.
yeah, yeah. So I gave it a B minus. You gave it a B.
Yeah. Okay, we've got red white cards up next. Aziza Mage Tower Captain is the first one. Red white for a 2/2 legendary creature at rare. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may tap 3 untapped creatures you control. If you do, copy that spell and you can choose new targets. So very similar to Kyrol from Lorwyn, where that one was tap 2 things to copy a ability. Copying a spell is, I think, better by quite a bit, right? Especially in this set with like excellent spells. But tapping 3 creatures, yeah, that's a meaningful cost.
Yeah, it reminds me of Raph from Dominaria United.
Oh, yeah, that
Um,
goes a while back, but that's a good comparison.
yeah. Yeah, this card's good. It's a 2-mana 2/2. You can't be too precious about it. You'll have to trade it off sometimes, but it's like decent value in the late game. Yeah, not a lot to dislike about this. I gave it a C plus. You gave it a C.
Yep. I think I'm actually probably too low on it too. I would come up to where you are, maybe even a bit higher. Hardened Academic is red white for a 2/1 flying haste. This is a rare. You can discard a card to give this creature lifelink until end of turn, and whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Okay, so 2/1, 2-mana 2/1 flying haste. That's pretty good. You're probably
Yeah,
not discarding a card to give this lifelink very often early, but like, late game, maybe you pile a few counters on this, you hit for 4 lifelink. Like, this is also. Oh no, never mind. I was gonna say it's an instant speed way to put counters on things, but I don't think any of the flashback cards are instants. But there's ways to exile things instant speed. So yeah, I mean, there's some of the time you're gonna get a counter at instant speed.
the card flashback is an instant.
That is
So,
true. That is indeed true. Okay, there we go. We broke it.
I think a full 1/1 counter is probably the best leave the graveyard trigger that we've seen on the lore hold cards. I think most of them are like a little more incidental upsides. This is a very real upside on this card, especially on a 2/1 flying haste for 2. Like, this card's very nice.
Yeah.
I give it a B. You gave it an A minus.
Yep. Just seems like a really good one. Suspend Aggression up next. Oh, I love this design. This is like one of the coolest designs
This
they've
one's
had in a
so
while.
cool. Yeah.
White, red, 1. It's 3 mana. Instant at rare. Exile target non-land permanent and the top card of your library. For each of those cards, its owner may play it until the end of their next turn. So it's almost like bounce a creature, draw a card, but like weird, and also makes them need to cast that card right away. It's use it or lose it, right? If they don't cast their card next turn, they lose it for good.
Yeah, this card seems so nice. Like, you really want to cast this, like, even on turn 5. I think it's really good. Like, if you exile their 4-drop and then they have to spend their mana to play that card or they lose it forever, seems like a really weird pinch that you can do on them. You could also like do this at the end of their turn to like clear an attack. I think this card looks very, very strong. I went all the way up to A minus on this. And you have it at B, which is kind of funny because we're exactly flipped from the last card.
True,
but I think
yeah.
we'll land somewhere in that range.
Also, we've said this a few times, but just straight up kills tokens, and there's a lot of pretty big tokens in the set, right? So, yeah, no, I love this card. Arc of Hunger up next. This is 2 red-white for an artifact at rare. Whenever one or more cards leaves your graveyard, this artifact deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain 1 life. And you can tap, mill a card. You may play that card this turn. Wow.
I like this card a lot.
Yeah.
I don't. We have another grading discrepancy here. I was a more reserved C plus, and you have a B plus. But there's a lot to like. The thing that was holding me back was the comparison to Phyrexian Arena, which we've seen be variable in different sets, and this is a little bit slow. and it is a little awkward because you have to play the card that turn.
Yes.
But this like dings your opponent instead of you. It also gains you life, and it also can trigger multiple times per turn. So there's a lot to like here. Seems like you're really high on this card.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the differences you just listed are pretty meaningful, I think. Like, I think the fact that this gaining you life as you're drawing cards is such a better combo than losing life when drawing cards, right? Like, that's an easy way to put that, I guess. But also just this being a way to kill the opponents. Like, they get dealt damage over the course of a few turns. Like you said, this triggers multiple times. It enables your Lorehold synergies to trigger all your other things that say when a card leaves the graveyard, you do a thing. So, I don't know. I just think, like, yes, you're paying one more mana than you usually would for, like, a Phyrexian Arena, but this, I think it's a pretty different card.
Yeah, that all makes sense. Still kind of want to stick with my C plus because I think there's a little bit of, like, it's just not obviously impactful in every game, but it's a very cool card.
Yeah, if there's one thing in the favor of your grade, when I was playing yesterday, I really noticed, and this is something that people have said, we even said it on the Common Uncommon set review, but you really don't run out of things to do with your mana very easily in this set. Like, there's always something as a flashback card, an expensive card, and so a card like this that is a card advantage engine, yeah, I mean, it's going to do good things, but there's also a lot of other things that do something sort of similar. So,
yeah.
Next up, the Dragon, Lorehold the Historian. 3 red-white for a 5/5 flying haste. Legendary creature in Mythic. Each instant and sorcery in your hand has Miracle 2, which means you may cast a card for its miracle cost when you draw it, if it's the first card you drew this turn. Sorry, you can cast this card for its miracle cost if it's the first card you draw this turn. And at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you can discard a card if you do draw a card. So, if you're playing with this card in paper, by the way, you're going to want to make sure that you look at your card first before you put it into your hand. Because technically, if you're playing with, competitive rules enforcement, if the card touches your hand, you can no longer miracle it. So, yeah. Besides making you play a little bit of a funky way, this card's pretty powerful. So, like, you get to flip a 5-drop sometimes, cast for 2 mana. Of course, the whole idea here is on your opponent's turn, you can draw a new card for a turn and cast something on your opponent's turn. It's hard to set up and all that, but even for, forget about miracling, just looting every turn or rummaging every other turn, it seems pretty good.
Yeah, this card seems great. It's a 5 mana 5/5 with haste, flying, and like basically has an enters ability because unless they kill it like exactly on the spot. So TBD whether the miracle stuff is like super impactful because like at least in Lorehold, I don't know how many like big instants and sorceries you're actually gonna have. Like if you like rip your Tome Blast, it's like, oh cool.
Sweet, yeah.
It fixes your mana a little bit, but yeah, just like the rate on this guy is very good. So I gave it an A, you gave it an A-.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, I'm almost certain it works this way. If you miracle a sorcery on your opponent's turn, you can still cast that, correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Terminus. You can miracle Terminus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, blue-green cards up next. Geometers, maybe? Arthropod. This is blue-green for a 1/4 at rare. Whenever you cast a spell with X in its mana cost, look at the top X cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So, X spell, build around, payoff.
I love this guy. I have this as a build around grade. It doesn't show in our like comparison, but I think this is one that you do have to put a little bit of work in to actually put a lot of X spells in your deck. But a build around on a 2 mana 1/4 body is like really where you want to be because that is extremely not embarrassing to put in your deck.
Yeah.
And it will just like incidentally draw you cards as you play the game if you've built your deck right. So I have this as like a build around B. You have this as a C. I think draw from that what you will.
Yeah, I'm going to default to your grade because mine was kind of like averaging out like how often you should take it and all that, which is where the the grading system kind of meets its limits and all that. But yeah, I agree with everything you said. How many X spells would you want to aim for, you think?
I think it'd be. I think I would play this with 2 to 3.
Yeah,
Like is where I
playable
think
then.
you're like decent, like playable. Yeah. And then once you get to like 6, like you really only need to hit once with this, but also like casting one X spell with this like draws you into the second X
Mm-hmm.
spell, and then it becomes like a real problem because you just like find the rest of them in your deck. So I think when you get north of 5 is when this really gets out of hand. It seems like I haven't really like checked the density, but there are a decent amount of X spells in the set, so it shouldn't be too hard to like go out of your way to do this.
Yeah, I think it's very doable. The cost is kind of in playing some of the X spells because some of them are just pretty
Yeah.
good, but then some of them are like, okay, I probably would only want to play this if I had reasons to play an X spell. So yeah, that might be kind of the thing you need to balance. Mind into Matter up next. X green blue for a sorcery or rare. Draw X cards. Then you may put a permanent card with mana value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. So one of the things about card draw is you don't affect the board. And this is a card draw spell that affects the board.
It kind of affects the board because you have to put it into play tapped.
That's fair. Yeah,
Which
absolutely true. Yeah.
it's kind of more like you draw cards and then you get to have one of those cost 0 next turn, which is like still good, but like it kind of doesn't affect the board, but it also is a giant X spell, and we know those are good. It seems like this format's going to be like very conducive to that type of magic, so
Mm-hmm.
I like this card a decent amount as well.
Yeah, what do we give it?
I gave it a C minus, a C plus, and you gave it a B plus. I dinged it again because I think there are just a lot of cards that look like this in the set. Is this really that much better than the common? Like, if I miss out on this, I still have the common 5 mana draw 3, put a land into play
Sure.
in
Yeah.
Quandrix. So that's sort of what my grade is reflecting here, but this card is very powerful.
We've got Applied Geometry as the next card. 2 blue-green for a sorcery at rare. Create a token that's a copy of target non or a permanent you control. Except it's a 0/0 fractal creature and you put 6 counters on it. Nice. So clone something you control and it's a 6/6.
Yeah, I am quite a bit lower than you. You have this as an A, and I have it at C plus. I probably am too low. Like, I was singing the praises of the 4 mana 6/6 with the Trudge earlier. This definitely, like, you can't really cast this into open mana.
No. Yeah, that is definitely the big downside here.
Yeah, but it does mitigate a lot of the downsides of clones where you kind of don't really care what you copy with this. Like, a lot of times clones are not great because you want to clone something higher on the curve. So you can't really like curve out with it, but you can absolutely curve out with this. Like, you could just copy like anything with really just anything. Like a 4 mana 6/6 is just gonna be great on curve. So I'm definitely too low in the C plus. I think I want to bump it up to a B. I don't think I can get quite up to an A. Do you want to talk about your A at all, or move on?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that, yeah, I might be a little bit hot on it. Something that chat pointed out, I didn't take this in. If they do have open mana, you can just copy a land, right?
Yeah. Okay.
That's not bad.
It,
That's pretty
it
good.
enters tapped, but that is pretty good.
Yeah. Create a
Okay.
except wait, why would it enter tapped? Does there
Well,
land or
just
something?
because you're tapping the land for mana.
Oh, sure. So like,
Wait.
yeah, but on turn
Oh,
5.
no. I totally misunderstood. Yeah. No, it's an untapped land, so it actually ramps you too. Yeah. Okay. This card's great.
I've changed your mind. Like I said, I might be a little bit hot with A, but I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. No, it's great. Yeah.
Berta, Wise Extrapolator up next. This is 2 blue-green for a 1/4 legendary at rare. Increment. Whenever one or more counters is put on Berta, you make add 1 mana of any color. Also has the ability X tap, make a 0/0 fractal, and put X +1/+1 counters on it. So yeah, I mean it's very much 4 mana, no ETB, no protection, but Just a fractal factory if it sticks.
Yeah, we have a big grade discrepancy here. So I'm at B and you're at C minus.
Yeah, this is another one
Um,
that I meant to move up, and I think it didn't save.
okay.
I think I moved up to a C plus.
Okay. Yeah, because it is understated on curve, but I do think that 4 toughness is a really big breakpoint on cards like this because it will block every 2-drop and dodge the 3 damage removal spells. And just like, I guess it's probably worth talking through this card a little bit because it is weird. Like, this kind of discounts your spells by adding an additional mana, and then just like at the end, you just get to like dump any extra mana you have into a creature.
Right.
And even if that's a 1/1, like this basically makes all of your spells cost 1 less and then gives you a mana sink after you're done like casting your spells. So like the next turn, I guess only until you run out of stuff to do. So if you like untap with this, you cast a 2-drop and a 3-drop, then you make a 3/3 after the dust is settled there, which is like pretty good to untap with. And this is like a 3, what is it? It would be like a 3/7, I think, or a 3/6. So I'm a fan of this card. Like I have it in the B range. I don't think it's cracking the A range, but I think this is pretty cool.
Yeah, I played against this card, I think twice yesterday, and it was a problem. I mean, I didn't have an answer to it. I lost to it eventually. It took a while, but I think the card's pretty solid. And one of the things about the 4 mana and above, no enter the battlefield, no protection, is in sets that are a tad slower, which I think this one, I mean, slow may not be the right word exactly, but, the ones that it's not just like I'm under pressure every single game from turn 1 onwards. I'm a lot less picky because it's not like when they kill your 4-mana creature, you take a giant hit of damage, right? Like, there's not many starts in this format, maybe from Silverquill, that are just like, oh, yep, curve out, kill your 4-drop, you take 7 or whatever. Facing Prismari or another blue-green deck, or even, some Witherbloom decks that are a little more chip damagey, it's not that big of a deal. Anyways, next up, Quandrix the Proof. This is 6 mana, 4 blue-green for a 6/6 flying trample. Legendary creature with, it's a mythic. It's got Cascade, so when you cast it, you flip the cards from the top of your library to hit a card that is cheaper than this. You get to cast it for free, and instants and sorceries you cast have Cascade. Cast them in your hand, specifically.
Yeah. I think this card looks amazing.
Yeah, it's just great.
So I have this at A, you have it at B+. It reminds me of Enlisted Worm, which was another one was on the MKM bonus sheet and was really good. This is a better body than that was. And like if you untap with it, you also you go crazy, especially because Quandrix has so many X spells that you can cascade with.
Yeah.
So
although it kind of breaks both ways though, right? Because like cascading into an X spell, that's not great. But yeah, no, point taken. I definitely should be higher on this. This is another one that I'm pretty sure I moved up, but it didn't save. So I'll join you at your grade. And you gave it an A, you said?
I gave it an A, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, we've got a few colorless cards, and then we'll be on to the bonus list. So, Together as One is our first one. 6 mana for a sorcery at rare with Converge. And, for those who don't remember Converge, this is, it scales based on the number of colors you spent to cast the spell. Oh, we already talked about Converge today. I thought that was something that was new today. Never mind. But in case you forgot, that's what it is. Target player draws X cards. Together as One deals X damage to any target. You gain X life, where X is the number of colors spent to cast this spell. Card seems great, right? Like, I do think you want to be able to get this to 4 colors. But even at 3 colors, like 3 colors to draw 3 cards and lightning helix something. Even that's not bad.
That sounds great.
Yeah, actually, it sounds really good now that I think about it.
I think the threshold is really low for this card.
Yeah.
Especially because there's a lot of like incidental fixing with like treasures and the mana dork that can filter mana. I think this card looks great. We both have this at A-.
Both of my decks that I drafted on stream yesterday, they weren't Converge decks. They were 2 colors with, I think they were both splashing for 1 card, maybe 2. Mm-hmm. And Converge was something that I got to like 4 or 5 with quite often because of the things you just mentioned, right? Like treasures, and there's also the the Trove, the Mana Rock that we've been talking about. So I don't think it's you need to be like the Converge deck, by the way, for this to work. You just have to like support it. You have to, appreciate it and pick up a little more multicolor fixing.
Yeah, I think the other converge spells in the set, you probably do want to be more of the converge deck, but
Mm-hmm.
this card just seems like generically good. And
Totally.
I think pretty much anything that's not Silver Quill, I would be looking to play this.
The Dawning Archaic is up next. This is a 10 mana 7/7 legendary creature in Mythic. Costs one less for each instant and sorcery in your grave. Has reach. And when it attacks, you can exile a target instant or sorcery from your graveyard and cast it without paying its mana cost. And then that card gets exiled.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
It doesn't have an enters or protection, and you have to untap with it and attack with it to get any more value. But I think in the right deck, this will be quite cheap. And it sure is a 5 mana 7 or a however much 7/7 is. So
Could be a 5 mana.
we both like it. Yeah, could be 5 mana, could be 2 mana. I give it a C plus. You gave it a B.
Yeah, this is probably going to be like the last card you cast or one of them. But
Yeah.
by the time, like if my Prismari deck I played yesterday is any indication, by the time you get to turn 6 or 7, like it's not uncommon to have like 6 or 7 spells in the grave when you count like cantrippy things and flow state and those kind of cards. Yeah. Okay, we've got a land that we can zoom by real quick. Petrified Hamlet land. When it enters, you choose a land name. Activated abilities of that land name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities, and this taps for colorless. And the chosen name of land also taps for colorless. This is just a constructed card. Never play this in your limited deck. F from both of us. Great Hall of the Biblioplex is another land here. It's a rare. It taps to add colorless. Taps to add a mana of any color, but you have to pay 1 life to do this, and you can only spend that on instants and sorceries. 5 mana, activated ability. If this land isn't a creature, it becomes a 2/4 wizard. That wizard has the ability, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn, and it's still a land. Kind of a few little weird things going on here. So, how much do we like land that taps for colorless, or one of any mana for spells that you have to pay a life for?
In most decks, I don't like it. I think there will be some decks that do kind of like this.
It's good if you're converging, right?
Yes, if you're converging. Well, there's not that many. I think it's just the rare that's a converge spell. No, there's the uncommon red spell and the discard spell. So there are a couple instants and sorceries with converge that this works for. I think certain soup decks, at least that I'm going to be playing, are going to be trying to double splash like the white black 7-drop instant sorcery and the blue red deal 4 draw 4. So I think it's pretty niche, but I think I will have decks where I want this. I don't love the creature land ability of this.
Yeah, right.
It's really, if it was like a flyer, I'd be into it, but it is a permanent change. It's not until end of turn.
It is, right? It becomes like the pump.
Sorry, it turns itself into a creature permanently.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah. You're totally right. Okay, I'm more interested in it now. Actually, I completely glossed over that. Okay, good call.
But it's still really small, and
yeah,
like to your point of like, there's so much to spend your mana on this format. Like, I don't really want to sacrifice my land to do that. But you can't just do it at instant speed if you have 5 mana, and then you can like have a pretty good blocker. So
yeah,
I think it'll be niche, and it will be decent when you need it. I have it at D plus. You have it at a D.
Next up, we've got the Cycle of Lands. So these are the ones that come in tapped unless you control 2 other lands. So if it's 3rd land onwards, you get to have it come in untapped. And these are pretty good lands. Like, these are... Actually, interesting conversation, I guess, to have real quick. Better than the tapped lands that Surveil, would you say?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You need... Yeah, because at 3... This enters untapped on turn 3. If this is in your opener, you're probably running it out on turn 1, assuming you don't have a 1-drop. And then if it's your 3rd land, it automatically becomes untapped. So this is basically not going to cause you any problems. I gave it a C. I gave it all of them a C. You gave them B minuses. I probably should bump it up at least to a C plus because I do think that these are better than the Surveil ones.
Yeah, I mean, anytime with any land, it always depends on like where you are in the draft and what your
Yeah.
color requirements are and if you're splashing and all that. So it's a bit contextual, but yeah, good lands.
Yeah.
Okay.